should be live.
Cool. Welcome everyone to the Clutch Kick. I'm one of your hosts, EG, and above or below me, wherever, somewhere is Greg. Below, above, whatever. Anyway, hello.
It's nice to see you again, EG.
It was good to see you. It's been a while, I think.
Yeah, a whole 7 days.
Okay, so this week we have Jackson Snell as our special guest. So he'll be talking to us about himself and his recent adventures, which is a few actually, I think. Yep. So I think he is actually in the middle of work, kind of. So it's an interesting background you got there.
Yeah. Yep. Just advertising for Kenworth. No, but I am in the middle of outback New South Wales.
Okay, so you're on the same time as us then, so it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so to begin with, like every show, we just go through some news, and I think Craig's kept up with everything, and I've done nothing except play with my own cars. So
yeah, useless, mate.
No.
Round 1 of Vic Drift was over the past weekend. They ran the gauntlet layout, which sort of involves running one of the link roads backwards on the main circuit. I think it's probably one of the best layouts that they run on Calder Park. Personally, I'd love to go down and drive that section. It's looks like a really good spectator spot as well, with the hill directly overlooking that section of the track, and then without the snakes and all sorts of crap that you get over in the Thunderdome if anybody was to actually go and sit on the sort of stadium side of the Thunderdome. So a couple of your SA mates went over and made the trek, Jackson, with Dale Campaign, Nathan Greenhill and Dean Newcomb making the trek over.
Yep.
There was
3 of the boys.
There was 61 cars entered for that first round. Absolutely enormous numbers. And yeah, it's only a top 32 competition, and all 3 of those guys managed to make it through to the main show, and Dale ended up being his normal, annoying, consistent self, and I think he qualified like second or something like that, and then ended
second,
then put himself in first place with the win over Krista Jager, who made a comeback after a few years, Victorian local and old school Drift Australia driver. And then Nathan managed to find himself in third place, and I'm pretty sure Dean was in the top 8 as well, if I remember correctly, after watching the event. So yeah, big ups to the SA boys for going over there and making a nuisance for everybody else. I also heard early in the day there was some off-track action with a fabricator from Queensland making a trip down to say a welcome hello to some Victorian locals. So anybody who was down there will know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure those guys loved their surprise. So yeah, definitely an eventful round 1, and I don't know if you have any inside info with those boys, if they're planning on doing more rounds of Vic Drift this year. I think Dale made mention on a post that he was trying to do a few more rounds, but I'm not sure he'll be able to commit to all those rounds.
Yeah, I know Dale wants to do, I think, the whole season. And as for Nathan, I think it's more of just if it all lines up, then he'll do all the rounds that he can, sort of thing. I mean, Nathan's wanting to sort of drive that S15 as much as he can. So I think it's more just work commitments and that. If he has the time and can get over there, I'm sure he'll make it happen.
Yeah,
Dean's the same, I guess. Dean just does whatever ones he can.
Yeah, so it's looking like it's going to be a good season, and the 3 judges that we mentioned last week, sort of all doing their first season of Vic Drift as judges, sort of had their work cut out for them. I think trying to bring those 61 drivers down to a top 32, but it looked like they had a pretty good field when it came to the actual battles. And yeah, the season's going to be long, and I think a lot of learning curves now that they've got such big numbers, and then a little bit more quality starting to sort of re-emerged, all coming in from interstate to compete. So uh, yeah, big ups to Dale for showing up and just annoying the crap out of everybody in Victoria and just walking all over them. So
I think he does that everywhere, doesn't he?
yeah, he tends to do that. So nah, well done to him. Definitely shows his diversity. So very good. And yeah, and just sort of the way things were judged and the way the fault was found in a few instances. I was really happy with. I thought the judging was really good all night, and anything that was a little bit questionable, they tend to turn them around and send them out again. So a little bit more towards the DCA style of judging rather than getting too caught up in these 10 zeros and all this sort of stuff. They sort of, if it looked questionable, go do it again and let's actually get a clean run out of it. So that was very good. Um, yeah, they do need to sort out their live stream. I think they, from my understanding from watching the live stream, there was a few hiccups and somebody stopped the live stream for a while and they didn't realize the live stream had been switched off. And then it sort of switched on and it skipped a few battles. People were like, oh, it's because it's at the 4 hour cutoff, but it was only at 3 hours. And yeah, I think they forgot to switch it back on. But overall, there wasn't much missed out and it's a club level competition. So well done to those guys on putting on a good show. And then the other thing from the weekend was Adam LZ. Well, after our show, there was a Thursday night with Adam up in Queensland, his last event at Archerfield, and I'm pretty sure he beat that 350Z up even worse than it had been beat up before um, that day, and I'm pretty sure it lost a front fender and got beaten up a bit worse than that. And then he made the trip down to Power Cruise and he drove Luke's car on the Sunday a little bit. I was out there for that. Um, but I think he was pretty wrecked by the end of the weekend. I think overall it was really great success to have him come out and was definitely good for the car community to have him. I think we worked out on Saturday night he probably did around close to 500 autographs and photos with people in 3 hours or
Wow.
something that they did. Yeah, the poor dude was absolutely smashed. So he was out here, I think, for around 8 days or something, and I think he worked 5 or 6 of them, and just yeah, people all over him. So um, yeah, big ups to him. Speaking to him a little bit over the weekend, when he's been at events in the States, he normally gets like maybe 15 people come up to him and ask for a photo and stuff like that. And then on one night, um, at Power Cruise to have, sort of 500 people show up just to get that done, plus all the others that he had done at Archie for the 3 days. Yeah, absolutely crazy. So that poor guy looked like he was ready to go home and sleep for about a week. So but overall, I think he's had fun looking at the videos and stuff. Definitely good, and to get Australian drifting seen by a couple of 100,000 people, uh, on another form of social media is definitely good. So hopefully that attracts a few more people in. Um, yeah, so we'll see where that sort of the flow-on effect from that carries DCA, Archerfield, all that sort of stuff moving into the future. Before we sort of move on to that topic with Jackson, because he did make the trip up for the Sunday event. This weekend coming, keep an eye on High Tech. I believe the live stream will be up on Saturday for the competition. They're running FD layout at Calder Park, so inside the Thunderdome. Also this weekend is first round of Rally. Our friends Dylan Roberts and Blake Patterson are still judging that series. I'm not sure who the third judge is. And then SA Drifting, round 2, which our guest is judging that as well. So that's sort of why we got him in this week as well, because it sort of falls right in between the sort of 2 major events that Jackson's been a part of. Adam LZ event, the Sunday. we got sent some video, and so you've done a couple of Adam LZ, oh not Adam LZ, sorry, Archerfield events in the last 12 months. Sort of tell us a little bit about just the difference in crowd and stuff compared to Cash Kings to what that Sunday event was like.
I'll be honest, it's actually hard to put it into words. Like, Cash Kings was, to me, one of the sort of bigger events that I'd been to in quite a while, like crowd-wise as well. But, like, so Sunday we rocked up. We're going to be at the track between 7 and 8, I think it was, to roll in. And we got there about 7:30. Had to go to Bunnings and stuff and get a marquee and all the usual last-minute stuff. But the lineup for spectators was already down the road, like 200 meters down the road, and I don't think the gates open to spectators till like something like 9:30 or 10 a.m. or something. So as soon as we rolled in and seen that, we were like, "Holy crap!" Like none of us, had, like purely. I mean, the advertising that obviously Luke would have done for the event was quite a bit, but it's just unbelievable how one person can draw that many people. And I mean, don't get me wrong, 80% of it was teenage kids and that, and then there was a lot of younger kids in that as well that were there with their parents and stuff. But I couldn't believe it. It was insane. Yeah, but yeah, as for the crowd, it was, you couldn't walk to the canteen to get food like majority of the day. Like, we all thought, hell, like, we got to go get some drinks and stuff before the crowd actually gets let in. So, like, it was, yeah, like, big props to Luke, because, like, my God, like, yeah, it was nuts.
So, considering you're sort of not in that teenage to kid age range, what was your attraction for actually sort of hitting the road and making the trip up? Because I think you're probably the driver who made the furthest trip. Yeah, probably distance-wise. There was one of the Tassie guys made the trip up, but I'm not sure what geographically what distance that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, two of you guys made a huge trip up. What was your attraction for making that trip up?
Pretty much like any good reason to drive Archie is like good enough reason for me. And it was only sort of just that I knew I had that weekend off of work, and when Luke originally told me about the event sort of a few months ago, how he was planning it and that, and I said, yeah, sign me up, man. Like, I'm keen. Like, I mean, I wouldn't travel up to Archie just for a night practice or something like that, but because it was a whole day thing, just it wasn't even meeting Adam himself. It was just like, because I knew it was going to bring in a big crowd, and I'm not a big competition driver, but I love like putting on a show, and I knew that there was going to be a heap of people there, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, like, it's a good reason to head up. And originally there was, 5 or 6 of us from Adelaide that were going to go up, but unfortunately, yeah, 4 of them pretty much sort of had car problems or bailed sort of, like before the event. And it was only me and mate Hayden with the 33 4-door that travelled up from Adelaide. And but it wasn't, I drive every day for work, obviously, like, so it wasn't a big deal for me, but 4 of us decided to cruise up in my mate's brand new Ranger, and that was all well and good until we like decided that it's 20. I think we did it in 24 hours or something from Adelaide to Brisbane, and it was interesting. That's for sure. But, like,
well, like I said,
I
met some wildlife on the way, right?
Yeah, like, so between the hay plains, everyone knows the hay plains for kangaroos and all that, and I deal with it every day. But I'm in a truck, so man, like, I hope there's no vegans out there, but I can hit like 20 kangaroos in a night, like in the truck. Doesn't even worry me. But obviously, driving my mate's brand new Ranger with a car trailer on and everything, it's like, all right. So we thought we'll just cruise. So we were doing about 60, like the whole hay plains, like through the night, and made it 90% of the way. And yeah, seen one sort of bouncing across, and I'm like, oh yeah, this dude's gonna like hit the trailer pretty much. And I was only just saying to my mate that was awake with me at the time, saying like how funny it would be like if one jumped and like hit the trailer and exploded all over the car. And legit 10 seconds later we wiped out this roof and it went all over my car. And first thing Tiana says to me, she goes, "Oh, leave it on so you can show Adam." And I'm like, "It smells rank. Like, what the, like." I said, "Nah, I'm washing it off," and I sent Luke a picture of me like just washing it off. I'm like, "No, dude, like it doesn't even look like a roux. It just looks like blood and guts." Like,
That's like when Marky Mark put the buddy
Possum.
possum on the front of his car at Mount Gambier. Fuck.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
Mark for you. But yeah, and then we made it almost all the way home as well, and hit another one, but we hit it with the car, so that was a bit of a bummer, but wasn't too bad. So yeah, it was a good trip all overall.
So I think roughly Luke reckons they had about 2,000 people on that day. Did you get much interaction personally with any of the crowd, or sort of stuck to the pits and drove just most of the day?
I think so we went on track at 10, and I think by 12 o'clock I'd already gone through like 6 or 8 tyres, and as it's just typical Archie, like, "Oh yeah, I'll go out, do a lap or two, do a few cool down laps," but it's like, nah, like as soon as you're on it sort of thing, and I was just blowing through them. So I thought, come 12 o'clock, settle it down a little bit, go for a bit of a walk, and that's when like we try to go, like the toilets at Archie, you got to go through the gate to the speedway and that, and it was like you were like pushing people out of the way just to try and get to the toilets, like it was nuts. But yeah, like we had a few people. They did like a ride with the pro thing, and I actually had a few dudes asked to come in the ute, so that was all right. That like was cool. But like, yeah, talking to a few of the dudes and that, they were like, they obviously like some of them knew me from having the ute and that, and said hello, and not being rude, but I didn't know who they were. But they're like, "Oh, hey man," like you get that weird like, "Yep, how you going?" sort of thing. But yeah, like I had like heaps of dudes on like Instagram or whatever, like sending me messages and shit, like with videos of. Like I ran the wall a few times and may or may not have like sprayed people with the water barrier, but I had a few people send videos and that was cool. Like, it was like, yeah, I can't put it into words. Like you see some of the photos and that, and like the whole mound's full. The wall was probably 5 or 6 people deep. It was insane. It's just it's sort of unfortunate that a normal drift event doesn't pull that crowd, but how like this one guy can do it. But I think it has done a lot to open up people's eyes to what drifting is in that community, because there's a lot of people that watch it on the net, and they're probably too young to have cars themselves yet or can't afford it yet, sort of thing. So they watch other people, like they live their life through other people, and they'll come out and see it and be like, "Oh my god, like like this is actually like insane in real life," and hopefully they'll come out more often, and especially for Archie, obviously it's so ideal, the location, and you just buy a 31 or a cheap Commodore or whatever, you can store it there, or you trailer it out there twice a week for, I don't know how much entry is during the week, but like $50 or something, and get the skid. And it's like, I mean, we don't really have like anything like that in Adelaide, so yeah, it's crazy.
I had a question, and then somebody sent me a photo of the crowd, which I will try and bring up in front of everybody. For context, that's Archie, and I don't think it's ever been that packed before. So yeah, barely standing room only. I'm pretty sure there was probably people sitting on the barbed wire fence. Well, I know there's people trying to see over the fence and not pay entry, but
Oh yeah, that was
typical.
yeah. We were right where we were, where our pit was. We were just standing there. I was just standing there talking to Luke, and all of a sudden he carts sick, and I was like, "What is he going on about?" And there's these 2 kids like hanging over the fence, and the fence is like almost tumbling over, sort of thing. And he's like, time to get fucked, pretty much. And if you're gonna be a tight ass and not pay, then don't watch, sort of thing. Like, which is like fair enough, obviously. And I think they'd technically broken into the premises next door to Archie, sort of thing.
Try and get...
I just pierced myself laughing, like typical Luke sort of fashion, but it was funny as at the time. But yeah.
Yeah, typical Queenslanders, if they can get something for free, they just take it.
Oh yeah, righto. Yeah.
I think we've both been on the receiving end of that one.
Yep.
Mine a little bit more expensive than yours, but
yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. At least you got yours back.
Oh, sort of.
Mm.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So your ride with a pro, one of the ride with a pro videos is in. I think you put it up on social media. And my
Yeah.
favorite part of that is that this dude looks all big and confident, and he's pulled his phone out. He's trying to video the run, and then within like maybe a lap, the phone sort of slowly come down, and he's sort of grabbed onto anything he possibly can with that oh shit look on his face, and
Yeah.
then he's along for the ride.
I mean, it's a standard Commodore seat in the passenger side, so it's like not ideal to hold you in. But first thing he said to me is his mate was in James McManaway's LS Turbo car, and he goes, "Oh, do you reckon you can like get on his door?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, I'll give it a go, man." But his car's insane, and like nothing about James, but when he puts that thing on angle and he's just mashing it, like he doesn't go anywhere, and
Yeah,
it's like so I can't
wise
lift
fab
in
slow.
my car. Yeah, and but I'm like, I think James sort of toned it down a little bit for that run because we got a few good laps together, but we sort of did a bit of a warm up lap, and then I'm like, "Oh, you ready, man?" Sort of thing. He's like, "Yeah, yep," sort of thing. And I just threw it in against that back wall into the hairpin thing, and he's like, "Fuck!" Like, and I was like, "It's all good, man. Like, settle down, like, you know." But yeah, he was pretty good about it. I think we did probably 6 or 7 laps or something, and by the end of it, man, he was like, he got out of the car and his like hands and shit were shaking. He goes, "Dude, like." he didn't know what was going to happen. I don't think he'd ever been in a drift car. Like he'd done a few skids. He said, lamp post inspections. But as for like doing that sort of thing, like I know Archie isn't super quick or anything, but I mean in my car it probably feels fast because the thing's a boat. But getting on James's door and like, legit not being able to see where we're going, and I just hope for the best. But I knew James can drive, so I was like, man, if I just do what I normally do, like I shouldn't wipe him out. I mean, I gave him a rub, but that was it. So no, it was insane. I wish I could have taken more people, but it's yeah. I mean that's a set of tires in I think 6 laps or something. So
I think people don't realize too, on the slower tracks, you're able to transition so much harder. So you sort of lose some of the sort of the G's within a corner, but when the car comes back, it just comes back so hard and it just wants to throw you out the window or over the center console, depending on which direction you're turning. So
yeah,
it's yeah, I think people are like, oh, it should be okay, and then all of a sudden they start getting thrown around. So yeah,
yeah,
and especially I haven't ever been in a drift car as heavy as what yours is, but I would imagine the heavier the car, the sort of the sort the more it throws you as you change direction. I would imagine.
yeah. I mean, so I used to drive my mate's S13 a couple of years ago, and I've had like Lorels and R33s and everything. And since I had my old VY Commodore, I mean, I just love the big cars. Mainly, I'm a bigger dude, so like, I don't really fit in Sylvia's unless the freaking seat's bolted to the floor. Like my 33, I had a Mount Gambier. That seat was legitimately bolted through the floor. Like, so whereas the Commodores, they're a lot more roomy and good for me. So I've obviously driven them for my last 2 sort of drift cars. But yeah, you sort of got to use the weight to your advantage. Like everyone says, like, oh, what hydro you're running, what this you're running, what that you're running. I'm like, dude, it's literally a lowered ute with extractors and an exhaust and a tune. Like it has King Springs, a standard LSD, which I don't know how the hell I haven't blown up yet, but standard clutch, standard handbrake, and yeah, you just got to send it, as they say. But I mean, it's not ideal. Like when I drive it at Malalar, it's a bit more of a handful. But at Archie, it's like second gear. Gearing's perfect for Archie, and it's a big car that you can throw around. And I mean, it sucks at the hairpin because you literally run the ripple strip, but your fucking bumper's touching the guardrail. Which thanks Luke for putting that guardrail there because last time I ripped everything apart, and this time I just knocked the bumper off. So the guardrail was fun to run. Reminds me of the old Streeto days.
Oh, I'm not sure what you're talking about, mate.
No,
but that's a huge. Really is a huge advantage for that car on a track like that, though. So when the judges for events like your Cash Kings and your DCA use that area as a clipping zone, well, it doesn't really matter because you don't have much choice. That's the only way you can fit
yeah,
through. You can fit through there while on angle.
pretty well. Like, I mean, I did. That was the reason I ended up losing my battle at Cash Kings because I cut the line too much, and it was obviously super noticeable because the car's huge. Like I couldn't get away with it, but it's fine for me. Like I love it. Like I wish someone else look, I was gonna get Adam to drive it at the event, but he'd driven I think it's Kai's S15, the guy that owns that S15, and then he drove the 350 for a bit, and then I can buy like sort of one in the Arvo. He was like cooked, like he was so wrecked, and I sort of said like, you know, you're gonna drive anyone else's car, because I said like you can drive my Ute, or can't remember old mate's name in the Hilux. I'm terrible with names,
Mitch
but
Bullen.
yeah, that's one. To drive one of our Utes sort of thing, but he was that wrecked that he was legitimately saying like he doesn't even know if he's going to sort of do any more laps for a little while. He needs to sort of have a bit of a break, which was understandable. Like I was very similar. Like we just driven 2,200 kilometers sort of thing overnight the night before, and I was, like I said, by one in the Arvo, like 3 hours into the event, I was wrecked myself. So I couldn't imagine how he would have felt.
Yeah, I think he ended up driving Mitch's car a couple of days. I think on the Tuesday or the Thursday.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah.
ran with 305s or something on the back. So
Oh, that car's pretty
Jesus.
insane. I mean, I thought my car was a bit of a boat, but that guy needs to do something about that thing. Like, I mean, it's got all the good bits everywhere else, but like, holy crap! Like, she's a big girl, and I didn't even realize he even had a sequential in that all in it until I seen Adam's video.
yeah,
Like, that's pretty nuts.
yeah, that car is like almost a V8 supercar spec car, other than the fact that maybe it needs a little bit more low, or just sort of stiffening up a little bit, or just something sort of done. I think it's got like a full Watts linkage rear end, like full adjustable Watts link rear end or something like that. I remember from World Time Attack Luke telling me. So that car is pretty spastic especially compared to yours.
Yeah. Like, the only thing I noticed with it is obviously, yeah, it gets like a heap more body roll. Like, probably don't notice it so much in my car because it's lowered. But I think because his thing is just a bit higher in general, it's a bit more noticeable. But I mean, he drives it like a madman. I said to him after lunch that we should do a few laps together, but he'd blow a set of tires, then I'd blow a set of tires, and then it's like we never really got to go out together. But yeah, that happens next time.
So comparing that sort of event to, you drove ADGP, right?
In must have been 2014,
And that would have
15.
and that was sort of was that
Yeah,
no, that was sort of a little bit later in its day, right?
it was the year before it
At all.
finished up.
Oh, so we'll blame
So
you for it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, letting Commodores in, man, this thing's ruined. Like, I did the first year, just the state, when they still did like a state series or whatever it was called.
Okay.
And that was only because it was the first. I think it was the first round was at Malala, and my Ute was still like my original VY Ute was a burnout car, so like it legit still ran like stockies on the back, some like rotor grids on the front, and I just painted it matte black, put some stickers on it, and took it to this state round, thinking I was like, yeah, just going to do some burnout sort of thing, and put it on the podium. I'm like, oh, cool, like whatever. Like, all right, let's do the rest of the season, and we did Calder Park and all that, and then the next year I got because you still had to earn like a license thing, and because I'd finished in the top 8 or whatever it was, got the license to do the Pro Series, and so we pretty much just did not a lot to the Ute, made it look a little bit prettier, and took it all around Australia. And I did the whole season of ADGP, and same thing. It was just a very similar car to my one now, but that was awesome. Like going around Australia, doing different tracks, meeting new people. Like I've met heaps of people out of it that I still, am in good contact with now, and I thank ADGP for giving me that opportunity, because it's the same thing. Like there was nothing really going at the time. I missed all like the what do you call it?
Drift
Australia days and all that sort of thing. Like I never experienced any of that. So ADGP was the thing when I got into drifting, was the thing that was at the time, and that's cool. I'm gonna try and do this sort of thing.
Yeah, so you've sort of gone through a few of the waves of it. So comparing sort of ADGP in its time to an event like the weekend with somebody who has a couple of million viewers on YouTube, and then right back to even sort of the DCA sort of Mount Gambier stuff and all that, where you've done a bit of that. Um, do you sort of see more value in just personal experience now more than chasing the pro dream within Australia, and it's sort of being more about those experiences, meeting cool people and driving, rather than those big events coming across as really professional but not drawing those big crowds?
Yeah, yeah. Like for sure, like I've always been a driver that's done it for fun. Like ever since I was sort of 18 and bought my first, turbo car or whatever. It's always been a fun thing for me. And I think I caught the competition bug in like 2009. I used to have an R31, and we used to have a thing called Drift Super Cup in Adelaide, and that was like a 2-day event once a year. And I did that, and because I finished in the top 8 or something, we got to do a burnout at the end. And I'm like, man, if I get to like finish in the top 8, like or get a good result, I get to do a burnout, and that's like sick. So I did that for a while, but I actually got out of it, like drifting altogether, for sort of probably 4 years or so, until I had a Lorel, which I sort of spent a year building. I sort of didn't really build. I just slapped stuff together and drove it like twice, and then sold it to Stewie Bryan. And then I bought the Ute, and then once I had the old black VY Ute, that's where I did that competition at Malala with ADGP, and I got that bit of a bug again. I'm like, cool, like this is killer, like get a trophy, or like like, all right, let's sort of do this. And just the traveling around Australia, and Graham Hinks sort of took 6 or 7 of us and took us to each event, and that traveling and the hanging out with your mates and all that was awesome, but the driving was like a bonus sort of thing. And I'm not a big competition driver. Like I like that adrenaline, and like but I just go to have fun. Like even with the Mount Gambier and all that, I legitimately bought a car like the week of Mount Gambier just because I'm like, I just want to drive. Like I'm not going to win. I literally buy some Skyline I picked up for $2,500 just because I want to go hang out with everyone and do skids pretty much. So I think I personally put myself more as just getting to drive and meet people and that making the memories sort of thing. And if I can do more of that, then I'll be happy. But if doing competition gets me to experience those things, then I'll have to do the competition sort of thing. But a couple of years ago, I started building a Lexus to be pro, and I was actually building that to do the high tech series. Because at the time when I first started building that car, I actually had a bit of a falling out with Luke about some stuff, and I thought, fuck DCA, I'm building a pro car, like and that turned to shit in about 6 months after I got married. I was like, man, I have no money to build this thing, and it's now still sitting in my driveway 2 years later. And since then, we went to Mount Gambier with a few mates when they first did DCA down there, and I was like, man, like, all right, this is pretty cool. It's not the old, Drift Crash Australia or anything. It's people are bringing pro cars to this, and I'm like, oh, this is all right. And so I kissed and made up with Luke and thought, so enter an event, and I can't remember. Actually, I think it might have been before I even entered Mount Gambier. I was actually up in Queensland with work, and I went to Archie just to have a look, and I messaged Luke and I said, like, what's the go like? Because at the time he was doing rental cars, and he had like a 33, and I was just up in Archfield for work and rocked in one Tuesday night and goes, we like rent us a car, I want to do a skid sort of thing. So yeah, rented a car off him and did some skids, and I'm like, yeah, all right, this Luke guy's not too bad. I might do a couple more events. And that's why, we did DCA Mount Gambier. I think it was the third year.
Third.
It must have been the third time they did it, which was awesome. And like, man, I can't wait till the DCA guys get that sorted out again, because that is by far, even though I don't think the spectators were like huge or anything like that, just the event itself. I think it's the whole DCA sort of
It's the
like
feel and the
brotherhood.
vibe.
Yeah, the vibe sort of thing. Like it was like, I didn't even think I was in a competition when we did that Mount Gambier event. It was like, do a battle, come around, like me and Tom Hemmings went like 3 reruns or something, and it was just like we were just hanging out battling, and it's like, all right, let's go harder. Let's put on a show, and then Hemmings potatoed and went into a wall. But so I won. Won't win by default. So, but yeah, it's the whole vibe, I think, and I think that's what Luke's done really well with DCA is give us the opportunity to express ourselves with our vehicles. And like, there's some pro level cars that do like DCA events and Cash Kings, and I look at Dale, like, yeah, it's his car's, oh, God knows how many years old now, but like that car is like pretty high level if you actually look into it. Like, I know it's super basic, but considering that car's won pretty much every event.
Well, yeah, just one event, podium at World Time Attack, all that sort of stuff.
Podium World Time Attack, won Vic Drift. I mean, Dale's like currently leading the SA series. He won 17,000 G1, like our local competitions. Won, I don't know how many like championships of our local events. So, and it is a race car, but yeah, it's awesome.
So Inside Info says that you didn't like the tyre rule for DCA.
I didn't like the tyre rule.
Which
I don't know what they mean by that.
Was your big complaint? Nah, that was the owner of the series said that's what you complained about.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I can't really remember. I think I deleted all our conversations and...
Like it didn't happen?
Yeah, nothing happened. Because at the time, iTech was coming to Adelaide and doing the event at Adelaide International.
Yeah.
I think it was just saying, like, I'd shared it and said something, and Luke said, typical little Luke comment on there saying, and I went like, fuck you, dude. Like, it's just another event. I'm trying to help out whoever comes to Adelaide. Obviously, I'm an Adelaide dude, and I was helping Liam, who runs Adelaide International. And I don't remember what it was about. I think there was a bit of discussion about, DCAs, that grassroots event. And at the time, my mindset was that Luke's event was just a, run what you brung, sort of, cheap tyres, have fun. And I'm like, oh, whatever. But at the time, I was building this pro car. So I was like, man, I really want to get into this. High tech was the thing at the time, the pro level in my eyes. And I was helping out with that. I helped out with that event. But just by that event, after that event, it really opened my eyes to, that wasn't for me, sort of thing. So 6 or 8 months or whatever it was down the track, I thought, I'm going to look at this DCA stuff and see what that's all about. And I think I planned to do 1 or 2 events a lot earlier than I did, but typical, like, just didn't have a car ready in time or whatever it was at the time. And it wasn't until I did the Mount Gambier event that it really opened up my eyes to, like, man, this is sick. Like, this is what it's all about. This is what drifting is about to me.
Yeah, so a little inside info, and Luke sort of posted it in the comments as well. Dates are coming soon for just a 3-day Matsuri plus a sort of Cash Kings thrown in the middle. They're talking, after speaking to them on the weekend, if I can say it, I think they're looking around springtime this year. So hopefully that all goes to plan. And because it's going to be more run as a fun event, they're going to run the track forwards and backwards.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I was speaking to T. I don't know if you guys saw when Jack Shanahan started from a bit further back and sort of slid down what would normally be the run-up part of the road. We're potentially going to be able to start a little bit further back and use that corner as well. So it should increase it by a corner. So
yeah,
I think because they've sort of they were able to work around with insurance and work with the council to cut down the number of barriers that there was each year, they can now use some of that infrastructure on another corner to increase the the amount of turns, hopefully. So fingers crossed that all goes to plan. And yeah, I'm only got a basic car at the moment, hopefully be running soon, but yeah, I sort of, if the right people are going down there, I just want to go drive that event. I really don't care about the competition side of things, just because, yeah, it's fun.
I was the same with the 33. Like, legit, that was, I think, like the Monday or Tuesday of the week of the event. It was like, I think, yeah, my brother was driving. There was a couple of us that were like, oh, let's make a weekend of it and stuff. And I legit, I legit was sitting on drift sales and everything trying to find something. And I'd bought a 33 four-door Shell, but didn't have running gear for it yet. And I was actually looking for a motor. And a mate goes, oh, I've got a motor. It's in my 33 that I crashed or whatever. So I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Go around and have a look, compression test it and all that. Rolled around there and I'm like, well, how bad's the damage? And he showed me and it was just a quarter panel. And I'm like, dude, I'll just buy the whole car. And he's like, all right, cool, that works. So I just put the whole car. And then I put the coilovers out the 4-door in the 2-door and welded the diff because I took it up the road and it did a single pegger. I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. So we welded the diff and then put my stupidly big wheels on and took it to Mount Gambier. And that was, like I said, it was for me, it was one of the most fun events. Like, one, Jack Shanahan was there, so that was wicked to meet him. Like, he's a super humble dude. And two, like, it was just getting to drive on the street. Like everyone says, like, you get to literally drive on the street.
You finished third or fourth? Third. Fourth.
Third.
Fourth, double loser.
And
who was third?
Did Luke let you, I think was Chop third?
Chop was second, wasn't he?
Chop was second, I think.
So Battle of the 33s was in... Yeah, I can't remember.
I never battled. It was Dale, I think, or Matt Harvey. I can't remember, but I had to let Dale win because I bet him last time we battled.
Alright, so I know Jackson can't see the comments. Lucas said that
it was a good battle. I remember it was really close though.
That whole event was sick. Other than that dude in the green the jungle green S14 in the top 32 being shit.
Oh, I don't know what he was doing there.
Oh fuck, I don't know. Choking himself up and just being shit in somebody else's car. Mount Gambier Council has made the track wider, so that's a bonus. Luke's also saying that there's a car being built for Adam LZ for that event, but let's see if he actually makes it across, because I think that would be a huge commitment from him already. And those Queensland guys have absolutely corrupted that poor dude. Americans don't swear all that much, but he drops the C word on the regular now, thanks to spending too much time with those Queensland guys. So he might he'll probably get arrested when he gets back to the States, or fairly quickly for saying that sort of thing. And Jake Jones, if you enter a DCA event, I'll come and shake your hand, because it's about bloody time, mate. So make that one happen. It's just down the road from me. So get that car running.
I was going to say, Jake was going to come to Queensland with us, but obviously for some reason he couldn't make it, and life in general, I think. But Jake needs to do more drifties.
Yeah.
Now he's not doing what's it called, Adelaide 500, whatever it's called now.
Yeah. So
he should
come do some Mount Gambier. So yeah, keep an eye out for that stuff. If you're not somebody who drives and you sort of just listen to this stuff, and I know there is actually a few guys who do that, Mount Gambier is definitely worth a trip down. Whether or not you fly to Melbourne, rent a car, drive across, fly to Adelaide, rent a car, drive across, or just drive down from your home city, home state, whatever. It's one of those places that's definitely worth a trip to. And yeah, if you're trying to do it on the cheap, the caravan park with camping grounds literally at the top of the hill, like at the top of the sort of the crater that Mount Gambier is in. So we didn't mean to plug Mount Gambier event so much, but I know after speaking to Luke and T on the weekend that they're pushing forward with that, trying to make that event happen this year. So it's good that it sort of falls in line with Jackson as well. So I think overall, to me personally, I think the Adam LZ trip out to Australia was a massive success for drifting in general, and hopefully he does get back out here, because I think if more people can just be exposed to that grassroots style stuff, I think that will be probably help really get drifting taking off again. I think the really high level pro stuff is needed, and there are guys who want to do it, but I think the reality is to to really start bringing some money through the sport and get people into being able to do that sort of stuff. It's that stuff that really needs to grow in this country. Um, I don't know if you sort of agree with that, but I think
Yeah,
yeah, that foundation really does need to be there. I think that's what a lot of events have been lacking is getting those young kids in there. Like I went to my first event at 15, 16, and a lot of the events that I've been to, I've felt like that's the sort of crowd that's been missing. It's sort of been dudes who've already got cars and all that sort of stuff. But I think the younger dudes, and I think you've got some young kids yourself, and I think they're the most influential ones. And if they're gonna fall in love with something, it needs to be early.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like my lad's 9, and I mean he's in between the whole Fortnite and that sort of thing. But he he wanted to come up to the event, and obviously it was just too hard logistically wise. He had school and stuff, so just to meet Adam, and I mean, obviously Adam, the way Adam markets himself is to the general public, the families, the younger kids, and that obviously with the the lack of swearing and stuff like that in his vlogs and that, which is fine, but and that's a good thing. Whereas I mean, I watched quite a few dudes on YouTube, and you can tell the ones that are obviously genuine, the way they speak, the way they talk, the way they act on camera. And Adam was like exactly like he is on camera in person. Like I think one big thing when Adam come around and spoke to a heap of us, I think it was the first person he sort of spoke to, but I think it really helped having Luke there with him to sort of, Luke knew everyone, so he was like literally dragging Adam around, like introducing him to us all, like this is Jack. Like to me, he's like, oh, this is Jackson, rah rah rah, and that was awesome. That Luke's that sort of person that can do that, because the vibe I got from Adam was like he was super not shy, but I think he says it in some of his vlogs sometimes that he doesn't like vlogging in public. Like he's always in a car, or he's always in the shop with only his close friends and that, and you don't see him do a lot in public as such. And having Luke there, I think that boosted his confidence super quick, because we were still unpacking. Like that's how quick sort of Luke was like, let's go. This is our opportunity to sort of go around, meet everyone that was set up, and he's literally like dragging Adam around, and Adam's doing his thing, and I think it just made Adam super comfortable, which made myself personally just super comfortable. Like I'm not a big person to obviously talk on camera, and having Luke there going, oh, this is Jackson, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden it's like, oh, this is wicked. Like, this is easy. And I even said to my brother and that afterwards, I'm like, man, like I'm super glad that they just come and did that, because if there was lined up for us to get interviewed or whatever, I said I wouldn't have done it. Like I honestly wouldn't have put myself out there to do that, knowing how many people are going to see it. So it was awesome the way that he in person, he was just like he is on his vlogs.
Yeah, and I think people forget just how young he is because he's been around for so long, but he's 23, like, and so
Yeah,
he's still that awkward young adult. Like I was lucky enough on Sunday morning at a power cruise to sort of arrive just after these guys showed up to the track, and there was a group of 5 of us, including Adam, just sitting up on turn 3, sitting on a trailer with their back, with our backs to the crowd, and most people, there was only a few people up in that section, but most people didn't know that he was sitting there. And once somebody cottoned on to the fact that the Evo was sitting there, one dude came over, but we sort of sat there and just had a bit of a chat, and yeah, he's super quiet. Like he's not
yeah,
hugely outspoken or anything like that, and you sort of got to, he's one of those personalities that he's always thinking, and I think that's why he's been able to achieve what he's sort of achieved, because he's always thinking about what's the next thing he can be doing, and that sort of stuff, because he will sort of drop in and out of conversation sometimes, and then he'll come out with something really quick. And this is only in the sort of half an hour I got a bit of time with him, and that also probably jet lag and being cooked after 8 days of trying to be nice to people without losing his mind, and just sort of having no time to himself. But yeah, super quiet, super humble, and I hope he understands the impact that he's had on the scene. and like just worldwide and even within Australia to pull crowds like that to events. And yeah, as you said, hopefully it really does have that effect that more and more people actually show up to these events moving forward now. So um,
I mean, just in like even the people that didn't go out to the event, like either the Sunday, Tuesdays, or Thursdays, but they might be people that had to work each one of those days, but they've then watched his footage and been like, oh, this dude's in Australia. Oh, this dude's at Archfield. Oh, that's only 10 minutes down the road from me. Oh, cool. Like, and then they look it up on the net, and boom, all of a sudden you got another couple of people that want to learn about drifting because they've seen it on his thing. They might not have known anything about it beforehand. That it was local to them. So it is good. Like, it is definitely one of the better things to happen. Like, I mean, like Jack Shanahan and that coming to Mount Gambier was awesome for all of us who knew who he was through drifting. Whereas Adams pulled such a following from being like life in general, not just drifting. Obviously, he had a big following from like BMX beforehand. So the drifting, he's just been able to facilitate that through his life, and obviously make his living from it, and that's brought on a whole nother following for him personally. And obviously that I never thought that it'd be as I don't know how many people were through the gate, but to me it was a shit ton, and I didn't think it would be anywhere like that. I thought yeah it'd be like the grandstand will be full, the mound will be full, there'll be some people along the fence line, but to literally not be able to walk to the toilet for most of the day, it's like it's crazy. And I hope that Luke can bring him back for Mount Gambier or something like that, because it'll do good for SA people.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I don't think a DCA event will have ever sold out as quickly as that will.
Yeah, I mean, like Mount Gambier, like the crowd that Mount Gambier could facilitate is obviously, I believe, would be a lot more than Archerfield could. Just obviously being able to have people on both sides and the big mounds and all that, but I'm not too sure exactly the numbers or anything like that. But either way, man, it'd be awesome to have him back. He's a super humble dude. Like I said, it was just how I expected him.
Yeah, and yeah,
It'd be cool.
and I think he shut a lot of people up by just jumping in multiple cars, and as more and more videos had come out, just how many cars he drove, and just showed that the dude can drive.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I said, I wanted him to drive the Ute just because like it was one of the more different cars that was there. But like I said, by 3 hours into him drifting it, he just goes, man, I'm pretty buggered already, sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, no, that's cool. It just sucks that I couldn't stay up there for the week and come out on Tuesday or Thursday and got him to have done it then. But no, it happens.
Yeah, and because you've got kids, and for people to sort of understand how the YouTube thing sort of really works, how much time do your kids spend on video games, and how much time they spend in front of some sort of electronic device on YouTube?
Well, my lad's 9, so he's at school. So his deal with going on, tablets or on the Xbox or whatever is he goes to school, he comes home, he does his homework, and he gets an hour before dinner each night to do whatever he wants to do. And like he plays that Fortnite game, and man, like he's 8 for 9 years old. He's one of those retardedly good kids that can actually play it pretty well. Like I can't play it for shit, and he will kick my ass any day of the week. But so that's their deal. And like my daughter, she's in kindy now, so she's pretty much gets the same deal. But she'll watch all the the Barbie doll crap and shit on YouTube, whereas Rylan will watch a mix between other retards playing Fortnite all the time, and like he'll watch a couple of like those prank dudes and stuff like that. But he watches Adam LZ videos. He watches. He was watching a bit of Caleb Quamback when Caleb was doing videos. But another thing, like Caleb, I don't know if you guys know Caleb Quamback, but
yeah,
he I was watching his stuff for quite a while because I could relate to him a lot, like me personally. It just sucks that he doesn't do anything anymore. But yeah, so yeah, they watch a bit, but
yeah. But then how much time do they spend on YouTube compared to what I guess you might be above average for what people spend watching stuff? But I think people forget that most of the time it's kids watching that type of stuff
Yeah.
than adults. Like most adults, like if you look at somebody like EG, should be watching some of this to talk crap on this show, and then doesn't watch anything in a week. I watch an abnormal amount. I would put myself in the child category with the amount of YouTube and stuff that I watch. But
Like,
that's
so when I work away and stuff, like, I'll be away for a week at a time. So I'll literally download 200 videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And just over while I'm away, watch some of them. Some of them are like podcasts, stuff like that. That I'll just listen to while I'm driving. Not at all watch them while I'm driving. And so yeah, I mean, it all depends. Like if I'm away if I'm on a rig and I'm sitting there for 10 hours, I'll watch 10 hours of YouTube. And I'll just download a heap of videos and of all the dudes that I like watching. And I can sit there and watch 10 hours if I've got to kill 10 hours, like, easily. But as for the general public, I've read somewhere the other day, like, the biggest earner on YouTube was, like, some 9-year-old or 7-year-old kid or something. And he like some crazy amount of money. And he gets, like, 7 million views per video. And it's literally this kid opening up stuff. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, but then my daughter watches it. She watches other kid open up LOL dolls. I'm like, you for real, kid? Like, and it sucks because she's like, oh, I want one of them, and I'm going to go buy one. So, marketing.
I've seen that as well. I think YouTube forces people in that direction as well to those well viewed videos, because you know how you could just leave it on autoplay, and I just wondered what would happen if you just left it and then it actually went to that video.
No, I think if you're logged in and you've watched certain types of videos, then it pushes you towards more what your certain type of video is. But I think if you're not logged in, then yeah, it will push you towards those higher view.
I wasn't logged in.
Yeah, it'll push you to those higher view type things straight away.
Yeah.
Random question: what attracts you to certain YouTubers? For me, honestly, it's their personality and their voice more than what the content of a video is. Like I can listen if I find the person's voice sort of interesting and stimulating, I'll sit there and watch the most useless crap. But if the person's voice annoys me, that's it. I'm done. I won't listen to their stuff, even if they're doing exactly what I like. If it's all drifting stuff, but if it doesn't, if the guy's voice annoys me or something, that's it. I'm done. I can't watch him.
Yeah. I'm the same. Like, so Jake's a big one. Like, I watch all Jake's stuff. And obviously Jake's like I've known Jake for 12 years, so I know him as a friend as well. But I'll watch all his stuff just because his production side of it's. I think for me, a production side of it's really big. Like I can't go watch a 10-minute video that's there's music over the top of it and this and that. I'd rather literally watch a 10-minute video that's a small introduction or something like that, and then it's whether it's a dude talking about their car for half the video and then they go drifting. I think I like the more the lifestyle sort of videos and vlogs. Whereas if it's some dude like some of Adam's videos where they're like, putting a subframe in my chaser or something like that, I'll watch it, but I'll sort of zone out watching it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just passing some time. But like his video when he's getting ready to go to a drift event or something like that, I'm like, that's the stuff I like to watch. But yeah, very similar thing is the personality of the person. Like Taylor Ray, is another one from the States, and his stuff is like a bit better sort of production or whatever than Adam's. Obviously Adam's is like point, shoot, take a video, that's it, it's just that instant content, which is wicked because it puts you in the perspective of what he's doing and saying at the time. Whereas Taylor Ray, half of his video will be that, and then half of it will be like he'll set the camera up on a tripod and he'll be working or whatever, and like that's all well and good, but whereas Taylor Ray's got a similar personality to me, where he's like likes to get into stuff. He's sort of knowledgeable. Well, I'm not super knowledgeable about mechanical stuff, but he likes to learn, and then he likes to go drifting, and it's like, man, that's the stuff I love to watch, is dudes just legitimately getting pumped. And that's the same with Jake. Like I was just watching one of Jake's videos before, and he was saying something about his page, people asking him to set up a Patreon or something like that. And he doesn't want to do it because his goal of making videos is to get other people inspired and other people working on their cars and that. And I'm like, that's sick. Like, that attitude and that is what I like, like other people helping other people, and the way Adam is always got his like Alberto and all the dudes that he hangs out with. It's that little group, and it's like you get to learn other people and follow other people. And it's like now I watch Alberto Big Boost videos and stuff like that. Whereas I can't watch as many Alberto Big Boost videos because I don't understand him half the time. But when he pops up in Adam's videos, the dude's like, I'm like, yeah, sick. Like, Alberto dude's on, like, he knows his shit, and it's good to watch. But yeah, very similar. Like if someone does my head in, man, I'll just unsubscribe straight away. Like, or there's a few people that I was watching for a while, and then like they went to shit, and it's like, you're unsubscribed. Like not interested. There's only probably 10 dudes that I watch, religiously.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same, and it's funny because the bits and pieces that I saw from Adam, and then even the last Power Cruise one that came up, some of that was done at the end of the day after a lot of the footage had been already shot and stuff like that. So Adam's stuff is super basic, and I think that's why it's more relatable as well, because it's, as you said, it's point and shoot, and then he doesn't. Well, and I think because he just tries to pump so much into a day, he doesn't have hours to sit and try and make pretty things, and setting a camera up and doing too much time lapse is also hard. And I think he probably found, considering he's been doing it for so long, would have found that probably hurt his viewership, because you can go back and look at the analytics of your YouTube videos, and you can see where people have skipped and all this sort of stuff. And you probably, I'm the same. Like, I'm not going to sit there and view a time lapse. Like,
yeah, I'm the same. Like, I'll watch, and then as soon as the time lapse comes on with like music over the top, I'll be like, oh, what's happening outside, or or whatever. So
yeah. So like those parts of a video, unless it was a proper how-to video, and it was somebody pulling apart a PlayStation or something that I needed to fix or whatever, then yeah, fair enough. But when you get into those daily vlog type people, you want to know about them. Like you're showing up to see how Adam's doing today, or you're showing up to see how Taylor's doing today, and that sort of thing, rather than just trying to fill time. If it's a 7-minute video and it only takes 7 minutes because he's been stuck doing something else all day, give us an update on how things are going, the progression of the things that we want to know about, and then just cut the video there. And then when you go out to a drift event or something and you got heaps of news, then pump us with a 45-minute episode. That's what I get a little bit more excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I try to make a little video from like our Archfield trip, but I mean, I've got a little bit of stuff on the way up, like our road trip up and that. But when I'm not a big video person, I try to edit that video on my freaking phone. Like, I don't own a computer. So to me, it was like, man, I just want to try and capture a little bit of what we did, which I did to an extent, but then I forgot to do any more. So it's only a short video because it was only maybe a quarter of what we actually did. Like, would have been wicked. Like, we went to, me and the boys that I went up with the next day went to Gold Coast and hired scooters and cruised around on scooters all day and went to Top Golf and all that sort of stuff. Whereas someone like Adam, who has the camera in his back pocket, would have captured all that. And if I was the person watching that, that would have been the stuff that I would have been interested in watching. Like, oh, this dude, they went and hung out and drove scooters off gutters and went to Top Golf and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just, I didn't do it myself, which I'm sort of spewing a bit now. But yeah, the people have to be obviously they have to be interesting to keep watching them.
Yeah, and or just doing the stuff that you want to be out there doing yourself. So when you're busy on the road or stuck at work and you're having a shitty day, you can watch it and be like, oh, like looks like so much fun, and you sort of get that boost of energy from it. Where if it's just the same mundane sort of,
if you get that boost of fire and then you get the real big depression bit where you're like, damn it, I just want to go do it, like, and then it sucks for me because I'll be away, I'll be freaking in Perth or something, and I'll watch a video like, man, that gets me so pumped. And then by the time I get home, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit on the lounge for the next 2 days. Like, just the adrenaline always comes at the wrong time. But yeah.
So you're going to keep attempting to do more of your own video stuff?
I'd like to, yeah. Like, I probably should buy a computer so I can actually edit stuff. Or a laptop or something. But I'd like to. Like, the problem is that I don't get to do a lot of events. Like, there's not a lot of events in Adelaide. And I don't. Like, a few people have said to me, "Oh, why don't you make videos like when you're out in the truck and when you're doing your trips and stuff like that?" I'm like, man, because to me, it's like I'm just looking out a window for 14 hours a day. Like, it's, like I just my job, I get paid to see Australia. That's how I see it. But then some other people are like, oh, you need to show that to other people. I'm like, but it's boring, But some people are interested in that stuff. Like, there's a dude in America who's got like 1 million subscribers, and all he literally does is drive a truck from like one state to another all the time, and he just like puts his dash cam and shit on and talks to it and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And this dude gets like he probably earns more from YouTube revenue than he does from his actual job. And it's like, people are like, oh, you should do that. I'm like, nah, like, all good. But I'm going to try. Like, there's a few events this year, like our state series and that. Like, there's something I want to do. I want to try and do it at our state series in like our next round in a few weeks. There's something I want to try and start doing, which I want to try and help other drifters to get a bit more, I wouldn't say exposure, but I want to show a lot of people off, sort of thing. So I can go out to our local event at Malala, and there'll be a heap of people that know me, but because I was out the scene for quite a while, I don't know a lot of them, but a lot of them like will follow me or whatever, and I want to sort of, whether it's try and use a GoPro or camera or whatever, but capture those people, like vlog, I guess you could say, some of those people, and obviously I'll be judging the event, so I'll try and get a bit of footage from that and make a video of the whole weekend. But I want to try and sort of maybe like interview some of the drivers and stuff like that. Well, it's not going to be high production or anything because I have a freaking GoPro 5 at the moment. But I just want to try and get footage out there of everyone, like other drivers, and interview them and show, they can show their car off so other people can learn about it, because I just want to try and help other people.
Well, yeah, and I think it's just trying to get people comfortable with doing it.
Yeah.
Like, most people won't do it unless they're pushed.
Yeah. So we had like Matsuri last weekend. I didn't drive. Obviously, we'd only just got back from Queensland, but my brother and our other group of friends, they all drove. So I just took the GoPro out and like just walked around and did a bit. And I mean, the one person I go to every time I get nervous or whatever you want to say is Troy, because Troy's been doing it for a few months now, and he's somewhat comfortable behind the camera. Well, obviously, he's at the moment he's very similar. He will do it in private more so than in public. So I just went straight over to him and just was standing there on my GoPro talking shit, and so I tried to start doing it, and then I gave my brother a GoPro to get some like in-car footage and stuff like that, but I haven't made a video about it yet. But my lad wants to get into it. He wants to like be the kid that walks around making videos. So he's like, yo, you need to make me a YouTube channel and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, I can't even do it for myself.
The funniest part is he'll probably edit better than you, probably do it faster than you. And he'll give less shits what people think about him than you would.
Oh yeah, he does not care what people think. Like,
and he'll get him off Fortnite.
But, yeah. Well, he wanted to sign up to like Twitch and stuff like that and stream, and I was like, you're a nerd.
Yeah. Oh, it's all a bit scary too, because there's weird adults on some of that shit. So. I
know. Yeah. So, I mean, like when I was growing up, we had technology obviously, but I was never a computer person or play. I think I had a PlayStation 1 or 2 or some shit for many years, and it was pretty much only since my lad's been old enough to you use an Xbox or whatever that we've had an Xbox. So I'm not really into it. Whereas like my brother, he's into iRacing and stuff like that. So he's into the computer side of it as well. And then he got into physical driving a lot later than I did. So yeah, I mean, I've always just driven and not cared what people think. But now I think about it, like some of the stuff I've done, I probably should have tried to film a bit more, or
It's more than looking back onto it, because I look at it and think we sort of, as kids, I'm guessing you're around my age, probably 30, just over 30.
Oh,
And
oh,
I'm being, am I,
I'm 30.
you're not 30 yet?
No. Why does
Uh,
everyone think I'm the old?
no,
Old?
no, Edge is the oldest here, mate. You've just been around driving longer than me, so I figured you were probably a little bit older than me, but guess not.
I'm 28, and I'm
Okay.
the younger brother between me and Ben.
Really?
Just
Really? No
yeah.
way.
Yes, dude.
Wait,
Really?
well,
Yeah.
see, normally the second brother, because I'm the second of three, tends to be the more spastic one. And my older brother's way
Yeah.
more sensible, so I look at you more like my older brother, and I look at
Yeah.
Ben way more like me.
Yeah. Like Ben looks so wild compared to you. It.
Right,
Yeah.
we've
That's
offended him. He's
funny.
turning off now. He's like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here."
Yeah. No, everyone says it. Everyone says because I'm the one with the kids and this and that, and Ben's the one that's still just hanging out doing whatever he wants to do, which is that's how he is. That's how Ben is. Like, he's just a free spirit, and he doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks, and he just does what he does. But yes, I am. He just turned 30, and I'm 28.
Yeah. Well, Ben's in the comments being like, "Oi," but yeah, you are way more reckless. The first time ever seeing you drive, and that's what you did to that poor 32. So I've sort of, that's my level of understanding of Ben. So
Yeah. I thought that car was
Yeah.
going to be destroyed when I saw him in the practice, and then he pulled out all this really cool shit in the comp and the qualifying. Oh, the qualifying didn't do well, but yeah, the comp was like final battle shit.
Yeah, Ben, he's a nutcase. Like, he's one. I can't go passenger with him. Like, he scares the shit out of me. And he's probably been like technically driving obviously longer than me. And back in the day, we had property and we'd be paddock bashing and we grew up on dirt roads and stuff like that. But as for actually drifting, he only got into it maybe, I don't know, 4 years ago or something like that. Going to the track and stuff, and he was the same as me. He had Commodores and that, but he'd do stupid shit like put S13 coilovers in a VN and then drive it straight into the wall at Malala because shit doesn't work properly. And he's just never. We're both the same. We've always both driven shit cars. And I went like I said a few years ago. I went at that level like, oh, I want to be pro. I want to live that life of being a pro driver, and got $30,000 into building a Lexus and went, this sucks. I just want to have fun. And here we are.
Yeah. So more back to my point. I feel like when we were kids, our parents would take pictures and then go and get them developed, put them in photo albums and all that sort of stuff. And now so much is sort of just lost on your phone. You only put the really good stuff on Instagram, or not super personal stuff on Instagram. It's sort of like my cool toys or that sort of stuff. And all the important family moments, all the fun stuff tends to sort of live in pictures on your phone that totally get lost. And then if that phone breaks or dies and it hasn't been uploaded somewhere, well, it's either lost with thousands or tens of thousands of other images and videos from your phone, or it completely disappears. Where when we used to get hard copies of stuff, it used to sort of still be there. And I look back at my Mount Gambier videos, and even the one I did when me and Danny went skydiving, and like I go back and watch the skydiving one every so often because it's just cool. Like, and that's sort of like looking at a photo album type thing for me, where if I try and go back through my phone, there's just so much clutter and all that, where when you've taken the time to sit back and make the video, and you've got, the dumb stuff like E.G. chasing me around Mount Gambier until I threw myself in the lake, and things like that. It's now
see, that's that's to me personally, that's the shit I like to watch, is the stuff that the general public, or whatever you want to call them, don't get to see.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I love watching, it sounds fucking stupid, but I like watching when people like Taylor Ray does his prep day and shit, like just the stupid shit like loading his car and the fucking ramp fell out or something, like just dumb shit. And it's like stuff to me I can relate, and it's what I like to watch. But I'm the same. I was around at my grandma's the other day or the other week, and she typically every time we go around there, she pulls out the old photo album. Oh yeah, look at you when you're a kid and stuff like that. And I actually thought to myself as well, like, man, like, I've got photos of the kids and my kids and that and all that stuff, but it's all on social media. Like, it's not. We got some portraits and canvases and stuff in the house of family photos and that stuff, but it's just pictures on the net, and that's the same thing. Like you just go, like, I mean, I post a lot of shit on Facebook and that, and you got to go through, 50,000 pages of anything to find a photo that you're looking for, or something like that, And with making videos and stuff of what you do in life, it's a lot. Well, it's a bit easier to access, obviously, but it brings back a whole, like I said, with your skydiving video, that brings back a memory of that whole day for you.
Yeah.
It bring back the whole memory, not just a photo of you skydiving. Oh yeah, I went skydiving that day. Oh, what happened in the morning, or stuff like that. That's the stuff that to me is what, if I made more videos, what I'd personally make more videos of is, the road trips and the behind the scenes stuff. And to me, that's what I enjoy watching.
Yeah, and
so actually like a video log instead of a self promotion tool.
Yeah. I mean, like if I was pro level, like Matty Hill, for example, he's starting to do vlogs and stuff like that. Which for him, I think, by memory, he said he was doing it as well for to have those memories. But the way he does it sometimes is a lot more professional. But obviously, he's driving in D1NZ. Everyone in D1NZ is super professional. All their shit's super set up, and that would be awesome if, even if high tech was like that. Like I haven't been to a high tech event in years, but I don't think it's even close to what D1NZ is. But for me personally, mine would be more those, the video logs of stuff rather than making a video to self-promote myself as such.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was getting at with it. It's sort of, I could never do the daily thing because me showing up and trying to vlog my job would be super invasive. It would actually probably really interest a lot of people, like sort of my interactions with all my students and all that sort of stuff. But they're paying for my time for me to teach them and do all that sort of stuff. So that's invasive for them. But the more events I do, the more I realize I should be sort of just carrying around the GoPro at all times, just to make sure I catch some of that stuff, because like I should have done one at Wakefield and actually had some. The one thing I really want to get is just either a chest mount or a head mount for the GoPro, so that when I throw a rod out my 350Z on the way home from Wakefield, there's an easier way to cover that when we're trying to push the car to push it up onto a trailer, because it's a bit hard to sort of set myself up for that. But that's the sort of shit that I should be covering. But when there's only 3 of us and you've got a heavy ass car, you're trying to get up on a trailer, you don't really have an extra set of hands for the videos. But it's that side of things that that you sort of miss, and that's the stuff that I wanna catch and keep for myself. Unless you're willing to do the sort of thing that Adam's done, and just or Taylor Ray, and take that risk, it's not going to become a job, but it's going to be something that's always there, and your kids can go back and look at it and be like, God, my dad used to be such a dipshit. I used to be scared as shit of him, but my dad is a massive dipshit. And things like that.
Yeah, like talking about the shit times as well. Like there was a video a little while ago that Jake put up when he went to, I think it was Winton or something, and he had nothing but drama all weekend and couldn't string a lap together and stuff. And I seen some of the comments from other, like on Facebook and that, from even other, how can I put it, well-respected drivers. Some people commenting stuff like, "Oh, why would you bother putting that shit up? Like you're meant to be fucking good," or why would you put that junk fucking footage up? All you did was spin all weekend, or this or that. And I messaged Jake and said, like, look, dude, for me personally, it was awesome to watch that because it proves that you're not perfect all the time, And Jake's never tried to come across like that. But it just, to me, it's like, oh yeah, this dude doesn't care what people think. He's doing it because that way for him personally, I don't know, in 5 or 10 years, he can be like, fuck, remember that shitty weekend we had in Winton? Like, oh yeah, here's a video of it,
Yeah.
Went back to Winton 6 months later and had a killer weekend. So, but he's able to, show those shitty times as well,
Yeah, well, that's
and
why
some people like seeing that.
Well, yeah, that's why I gave I like seeing it too, because that's why I gave Matty Hill and Warwick a bunch of attitude, because they had a really good DCA event, the first Cash Kings. they had a really good DCA day on the Saturday, and then they had a really average Cash Kings on the Sunday, and their Hill Brothers little series just completely cut that day like it never existed. And I was like, and
Yeah,
then cut straight to World Time Attack, and I'm like, man, like you guys had like massive dramas overnight, and that next day, like that would have been the best because their reactions to that sort of stuff would have been completely priceless. And then we sort of
yeah,
that all gets eliminated because, on the internet you have to shit rainbows.
yeah, pretty well. I mean, in their defense, obviously, sometimes,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
for them, I think they've had a dude, like with a
yeah,
camera
yeah,
dude or something like that. But like people like me and you, like unless someone grabs the camera and captures that footage while we're trying to, spin wrenches or whatever, it's not like the first thing. If I break something on my car, I'm not going to be like, oh shit, I need to go get the
yeah,
camera so
mate.
I can, video this. It's like if you got a mate or something that thinks like that, it obviously helps out a shit ton. And if someone goes, oh, they're fucking putting a diff in or something, and he grabs the camera and he shoves the camera in your face, and you might go fuck off at the time or something, but then you go to edit your footage and you've got all this action fucking footage. Is you know what I mean? Like it's people want to see. People just don't want to see like some dude just stringing laps together all day from their helmet cam like I do.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Honestly, I
people,
can't stand watching that footage. I do that for myself so that I can go back, and most of my GoPro footage is stuff that I can either refer back to or go back and watch after EG's been like, dude, you need to keep your hands close to the wheel and stuff like that. Nah, dude, you're full of shit. My hands are on the wheel the whole time, and then I go back and watch the footage, and I'm like, yeah, I'm basically touching the roof and my side mirrors as I'm like letting go of the wheel. Like, there's all
yeah,
that sort of stuff in it, and it's a really good teaching tool because it's something that we used in skating all the time too. Was our coaches videoing, but that's not the stuff that I could sit there and watch heaps of unless I'm going to go and study a track before an event.
yeah,
Which I did for a few. Now that I've driven a fair few tracks around the country, it's not really something I refer back to other than my own footage. But when I was first going to, Mount Gambier, Simmons Plains, all that, I tried to find a bunch of in-car beforehand. But unless I'm like studying, I'm not going to sit there and watch a bunch of that because that's boring as shit.
yeah. No, I'm totally saying. When I was going to go to Tasmania, the round before Mount Gambier, or no, the round
After,
after Mount Gambier. Yeah, after. We were gonna road trip it down there, but it didn't end up happening. But I did the same. I went on YouTube and looked at previous events, same sort of thing. I'm like, man, is my car even gonna, be able to spin the wheels around the corners? Like, what layout are they running? And you go find old mate that made a video at Tassie, 2 years before, and go, oh yeah, he was driving a K70, he made it around the corner. He drove like this. Yeah, I should be right, and I just did that for my own personal reference. But every time I put up a video, everyone's like, "Oh, you only drive with one hand," but I don't notice it, and I don't. It's just how, like, I guess it's just how I drive. But until I go back and watch the footage, I don't realize how much I legit don't use my left hand steering or whatever, like. But I don't notice it while I'm driving. That's just how it is.
yeah. So let's move off the YouTube stuff because we speak about it most episodes, but I really do think for people it's one of those great personal things where on those shitty days where you've blown 3 SRs in a year and spent tens of thousands on rebuilding your S14 and then for it to get stolen, you go back and watch some of those videos that you've made yourself or that other people have from the same event and you're like, ah shit, that's why I did all that because I want to go back and experience that all again. And I think that's the biggest motivator, not seeing it as something that you can make money from and do all that because the reality is, again, unless you're going to turn it into a full-time job, you ain't going to turn it into a livelihood unless you're some like 16 to 18-year-old kid who's got into drifting and you're still living at home and you can risk 5 years of your life working for piss all money to do that sort of stuff. But to me, once you're sort of over that age and you don't have that time to dedicate to it, it's purely a really good memory bank. And as I said, it's like the new generation of photo album because yeah, we tend to piss off EG. Get out of the comments, man. I'm gonna delete your comments. Um, yeah, I just think it's a great way of keeping memories and the fact that it's cheap and easy now.
EG, would you like to speak?
Okay, yeah.
You just
I
aren't
can't
interested,
seem to
mate.
get in. I can't seem to get in at the right time.
Yeah, because some episodes you don't want to talk, mate, and then I go to leave it in awkward silence.
Yeah, I know. I understand. Okay.
All right, what do you want to ask?
That's like
Okay, go. It's all you, EG.
no, because I don't have anything to interject with, so that's fine.
Okay. Oh, so yeah, so that's why you sit there silently.
Uh,
So this weekend is round 2 of Drifting SA Summer Series. So sort of the reinvigoration of drifting in South Australia, and you judged round 1, and you're back on the judging panel for round 2. Is there sort of any format changes, anything major that's happened, or just sort of what sort of things you're looking for this weekend?
Yeah, so it's I'm not 100% sure if Stewie's released the layout yet, but it's unfortunately it's not running Melilar backwards like we wanted to. It won't work with insurance and stuff like that. But the layout is different to what's been run at Melilar beforehand. But yeah, like I judged G1 in like 2014 and 2015 or something like that. Just because I couldn't be stuffed driving, pretty much. Very much the same as this year. I couldn't be stuffed driving, and Stewie hit me up just before, or a few weeks before round 1, and asked if I'd be interested in judging, and I said, oh, yeah, I'm happy to help out. Like anything I need can do or whatever. And round 1 was awesome. Like it was obviously the first event at Tailem Bend, and it was insane. Like the driving was killer as well. Like I was actually quite surprised how well, majority of the people that were driving only really drive Melilar. Like quite a few of them, I don't think had driven many interstate events or other tracks. A few people have driven JDMX Park and stuff like that. But for how well all us SA guys adapted to Tailem Bend and the layout that Stewie had wanted drivers to do was actually pretty cool. But yeah, moving on to Melilar, like the layout's going to be a little bit different to the old G1 layout and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, myself, Stewie, and I'm assuming Simon's judging again. We're all very similar the way we, ask people to drive, and what we look for. We're all pretty much on the same page, which is awesome. We can all have our little banter on things that we disagree on or whatever. So it's really good. And obviously Simon and Stewie have been drifting for a few years longer than me. But we all pretty much, it's very similar to the way I think DCA would be judged. It's more about aggression and, putting on a show rather than fucking having a wheel 3 centimeters in the dirt or something, like. So with the layout at Melilar, hopefully we'll provide some pretty good battles.
I'm imagining it's potentially something that's been run before.
Similar to what's been run before, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, look, I think when another series ran a slightly different layout, it promoted tighter battles, and also sort of shook it up because most locals don't practice it, so it also gave a slightly more even playing field for everybody, and a new challenge on the day rather than it being a rinse and repeat type. Rinse and repeat type deal for everybody, and I think that's everybody's happy to show up to something new, but not always happy to show up to something old.
Yeah, nah, for sure. But I mean, if you go to our local drift, we have like a local drift practice at Melilar, maybe once a month if we're lucky. But you go out there, man. Some of the people that drive out there are like fully committed to the way they drive Melilar. I think changing it up, similar to what ADGP did back in the day, changing it up will challenge a lot of them. So hopefully a lot of the local dudes that go out there all the time, hopefully a lot of them are entered and can prove that they don't. There's a lot of people that can drive Melilar, but they drive it the same boring way all the time. And like Melilar's good because it's got the slow section obviously, and then it's got a reasonably fast section. But like there's some people that go out to Melilar every prac and just do the same thing every lap after lap after lap. And I'm like, yeah, cool, all right, you're getting seat time. But man, I don't drive Melilar unless I'm tandeming. Like, to me personally, doing solo laps around Melilar is just a waste of money to me personally. Just I'd rather go out to a Matsuri or a comp and be able to tandem with people, and that's that sort of thing. Whereas our Matsuris, I'm not sure how Vic Drift do it. If you're on the pro level or whatever they call it, A group, I think you have to tandem all the time.
Yeah,
maybe?
that's my. Well, I
You
think they
pretty
said.
much get paired up.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you're in the top group at Vic Drift Matsuris or whatever, you pretty much have to, somewhat battle, lead and chase each lap. Whereas Malala, there's people that will enter the A group that won't tandem with anyone. And it's like, what, like fair enough, they're testing a car or a bit, nervous or whatever. But I was talking to a few mates about it the other day, and it's like, why enter the top group if you're just going to do solo laps? Like, people want to have fun and battle, and that's just me personally. Like, I'd just rather tandem with. I'll drive with anyone. Like,
But it also slows
give it
the
a go.
line.
Yeah, and that. Yeah, if you've got
More than
50
anything.
people in A group, you have 50 people in A group all doing solo laps at Malala, you get maybe 4 laps in a half-hour session.
Yeah, and that's sort of, I think, like a QR Matsuri now, the fact that they're going to let people tandem with passengers, that should help push through that sort of stuff a lot quicker, which is, exactly what you're talking about, where at those sort of events when people don't want to, when it's not a track that you can run laps at and just sort of send everybody out at the same time, and they eventually sort of get on door with each other, and you can sort of self manage as you go, and quickly blow a set. When you're talking that sort of thing, it doesn't self manage because people aren't blowing tires before the end of a session, so they're not going in, and then you don't get that quiet period and stuff like that. So
I mean, we just had Matsuri last weekend or whatever it was, and it sucked because there was like 45 people like total, which, I mean, I'm hoping that means that there's fucking 50 entries at round 2 next week. I don't know, but there wasn't many people, and after the lunch break they ended up just opening up. It was just open track for the rest of the day, which caused a bit of chaos. If you got 2 or 3 dudes that are tandeming or running laps together, and then Bob Gaddafi in his NAK 70 is spinning every corner, which it does happen at Malala. Whereas if you have those segregated groups, it makes it a bit better. But if you only got 40 people, man, like, what else can you do? You got half-hour sessions with only 20 people out there at a time. People blow their tires, and there's no one on track for 15 minutes.
Yeah, which
it's good for track time,
yeah,
but it's shit for watching.
Yeah, but reality is a Matsuri and all that sort of stuff should always be a driver's event more than a spectator event.
Event, yeah.
Because there's really no money in crowds for that sort of event, because most people would just be like, oh, it's just a normal practice. And even on that note, like, Luke told me he only had a couple of complaints for the week that Adam was around, and somebody literally whinged to him that it wasn't a competition because they thought because it was a major event it was a competition. And so, like, people have come to spectate for some reason expecting it to be a competition, and it's like, well, why does it need to be a competition for it to be enjoyable? And I think that's where a lot of, like, non sort of really into drift people don't understand that a general practice can be probably better than a competition, because competitions tend to have so much downtime. Like,
so I mean, even like, it works both ways. Like, with just having open track at Archfield the other week was awesome. You just roll out, blow a set of tires, roll in. Like, I was changing tires, man. I ended up like running out of breath. Like, we were changing tires that quick, trying to get back out on track. And there was one bit where I pulled into the little middle bit where you stop and you take a breath or whatever. And James comes around me and just starts doing like slow freaking Tokyo Drift donuts around me sort of thing. And you see everyone in the crowd just like, yeah, like, what the? And we like, it wasn't planned or anything, but everyone's like, do you guys plan that? I'm like, no, dude. Like, I legit just stopped to literally catch my breath, and James just comes around me and starts doing donuts around me. And it's like, it's just entertaining people. That's what drifting is to me personally. But the competition side of it, like, competition's fun, but it's not for the spectators. It's not always for the spectators. Like, I seen the crowd at Vic Drift up on the hill. That was actually, like, I don't know how many people that was, but to me, watching on the live stream and stuff like that, that looks like quite a few people. So like obviously I don't know what sort of crowd Vic Drift normally pulls
Yeah,
in, but
they're claiming. I think on their post they said about 1,600. I'm not sure. There's probably crew, support crew, um, their own officials and stuff like that. But still, like I would say there was at least 1,000 people sitting on that hill, and
yeah,
that's a good crowd. But that's also an institute, right? Vic Drift competition is an institute because it's probably the longest surviving state
yeah,
series anywhere in the country. So they've built
yeah,
that base and managed to keep it going.
yeah. Well, for like back when I was judging G1, we had like for a few years it was sort of quite, pretty quiet. And I can't remember what years. It must have been like 2014, 2013 to 2015 or something like that. And we were getting like freaking 80 entrants per round and stuff like that. We ended up having to split it into like street class and stuff like that. And it was insane. And then I don't know if there was like a global, like everyone quit its drifting scheme or something, but like end of 2015 or whatever it was like nothing, dude. And like I said, like Matsuri, most of our Matsuris, there's easily probably 100, 120 cars, 130 cars, and this one just gone for some reason. There was 40, 42 cars or something like that, and it's not like it's like Christmas was a few months ago. Like I don't really understand it. Like I know, like I'm the same. I couldn't afford it, but I just obviously done a massive trip to Queensland. My ute doesn't have a cage in it yet, so I can't tandem at a freaking Matsuri apparently. So I didn't bother doing it. It's like, man, what's the point of doing a Matsuri if I can't take passengers and I can't tandem? So it's like, to me, it wasn't worth it. But I understand that drifting's not cheap, and it just I'm hoping that that new wave, that new generation, comes through soon and bumps it back up to where it was for me 5 years ago, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think it will because like you just have to look at your Vic Drift and your SA drifting series and all that. The sorry, drifting SA. Michael called me a peanut earlier for keep on calling it SA drifting, but um, so many old school guys have sort of come back in. They've had their families, they've done all that sort of stuff, and now they've sort of calmed down in life, got their house, got their finances in order, and they can afford to come back in and drive, and they need that escape again. So
Yeah,
I think just long term that stuff will keep happening, and it's just a matter of continuing to breathe life in it because once you're through that first sort of downward wave, then it should sort of stabilize because you'll still get those waves, but there'll be more undercurrents than actual surface level stuff. So,
yeah, yeah.
um, and
I mean, I went out to one of our local pracs probably just before Christmas, and I was actually surprised. I went out there and I knew two people, two cars, and there was probably 50 people out there, and I was like, man, like these are all new dudes, like this is killer. And obviously, just the Matsuri gone. Obviously, everyone at the same time couldn't afford it, or whatever the case may be. But there is definitely, like, now I think about it, like I've been in drift for 10 years, 10, 11 years, and it is, to me, it's that new wave of people should be coming in. Like when I started, the people that were, not high level or whatever, but the people that were out there putting on a show and that everyone knew were people like Jabbit, like Luke, Pickering, Monkhouse, like both the Monkhouse boys. All those people sort of like, they were that, I wouldn't say first generation or whatever, but for me they were the people that were in it when I started. And now, 10 years on, like I said, like I've had people message me, like ask me questions and stuff like that. And now I think about it, I'm that next generation, that the 18, 19-year-old kids that have just got their P's or whatever and are getting drift cars or whatever. They're now looking up to myself, when I was driving quite a bit in like sort of the last sort of 6 months or whatever. I've been driving a bit and I've had a few people like question me and stuff like that. And now think about it, I'm now that next generation sort of thing. It's hard to explain, but I'm just hoping that that new wave shows itself soon and bumps it back up to, big crowds and stuff. I know it's never going to be like DA days for some reason, but
yeah, but
I'm
like
hoping stuff.
but it'll get to, well, in some ways you look at it and go, it's past DA days and it's way bigger than that because you look at Adam LZ coming out to Archie and 2,000 people showing up,
Yeah.
and then 200 or 300,000 people watching a video of that event within however many, within 24 hours of that video going online, plus, if you typed in Adam LZ on that just after that Sunday event, the number of dudes who had done their own little vloggy things from that. So that to me says there are more eyes on it now than there were even in your Drift Australia days.
Definitely.
But there's
Definitely.
just not the
There's definitely more. Yeah, there's not that immediate.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah.
They're not at the events exactly, but they're watching online or somewhere maybe a bit later, delayed.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sucks, because we need that immediate presence at the events
to pay for
keep
it.
the events going.
Yeah. I think with Talon coming back, you'll probably find a resurgence of people getting motivated. Especially how that facility looks awesome, and I really want to go over there and drive it. So I'm sure a lot of other people would have the same sort of idea. They'll want to go to the events there, and you'll find. The other thing is, I think South Australia has their own sort of driving style, and especially with influential people like Stewie, who sort of push it. A particular way of driving, you'll find other people wanting to come and challenge as well. So I think you'll find in South Australia there's going to be more interstate people coming in and sort of trying to push people along.
Yeah. Like, I mean, for a little while there was a group of SA dudes that were travelling to Vic Drift. Obviously, we didn't have a state series for a couple of years, so there was a group of maybe 10 people or so that were travelling to all the Vic Drift rounds and stuff like that. And I'm just hoping that some of those Vic boys come over, and come over here and do it. And we had at round one, we had like Mike Lake, Zach, and I can't remember the other boys' names. We had sort of 4 or 5 of them Vic boys come over, man, and Mike and they loved it. Like, I mean, we all loved it. Taylor and Ben was a friggin' awesome event. And Malala is a good track, but it is obviously very old school. Yeah.
But maybe you have to ban Dale. Maybe it'd make Dale judge from now on, so that way the Victorians will actually show up to their own events now, and they'll actually show up to SA events because they might feel like they can actually win.
No, you got to keep Dale in there to get someone to beat him.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need someone.
Yeah, but they got to be good enough to beat him.
Nah, there's plenty of people that are good enough to beat him. They just need to be pushed along into the event.
I think sometimes I was even saying to Dale at Taylor Bend in practice and that, man, like Dale was junk. Like he was very average at driving, and me and Stewie and that all said it to him, like, dude, you're fucking looking like a bitch. Like, you're driving like shit, but then come battle time, it's like he switches friggin' brains or something, and he just turns it right up. But during practice and that, we're like, man, this dude's not even going to qualify top 10. Like, and by memory, I don't even think he qualified that well, but he might have, I don't know. But yeah, he turns it up at the right time. But that's the thing with Dale. He's consistent, and like just an overall very good driver. So it's hard to beat consistency sometimes in a motorsport that relies on, obviously being perfect pretty much all the time. Your results come from making mistakes, and Dale doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like, yes, he's not the most craziest driver or anything, but he does he does enough every time to get him over the line and put on a show. I've said this to Dale, like, personally, like he's a killer driver. Like, don't get me wrong, he's an insane driver, but he doesn't do anything more than what he needs to. He doesn't take that little bit of risk sometimes.
That's exactly the same thing we say at DCA when he comes up and has a chat to us. It's like he's missing that edge sometimes. Like, he's doing everything right, but it's just that sort of flair that he's it's different to other people.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, he is a very good driver, but yeah, sometimes you'll see someone. This is what we're trying to do with DCA was the same, but we're trying to do it with the state series. Is tell people to push that a little bit harder and put on a bit more of a show and risk making that mistake, and we can see them doing that rather than just do the same shit all the time. Like, especially at Tail and Bend, Stewie was saying to everyone in the briefing, like, that turn one where you come along the wall and throw it in harder than you think you have to. And then when you think you're going to fly off the end of the track, that's when you've got it nailed. And I took my ute out there to do a few laps. And I was the same. First few laps, man, I'm like, oh, I'm moving. And then I'll throw it in and I'm still friggin' 5 meters away from where I'm meant to be. Like, man, people can go so much faster here. And Greenhill was another one. He'd come in and his car's got fucking 5 million horsepower. And he'd come in like third gear or fourth gear or whatever, back off, and then like clutch kick entry. And we're like, dude, pin it from the fucking gate. Like, you need to pin it from the gate. And I don't know if he thought that his car was going to be too fast or anything, but he was like clutch kicking it that hard that the fucking front wheel was lifting off the ground every time he'd do it. And I'm like, you don't need to do that, dude. It's like a flowing corner. You need to just throw it in. And by the end of it, he eventually, you know, got it, but come battle time, I think he dropped 2 wheels or something like that, so he got knocked out. But he eventually got it. But I mean, it was a new car, a new setup, and all that. But I'm like, I pretty much said to him, like, don't drive like a bitch, like, drive hard. And I said the same thing to Nathan just before victory. I said, pretty much, don't drive like a pussy, man. Like, fucking bin the car. Like, Hayden, that helped him build that car, would rather see him drive hard than drive like a pussy. Like, it's pretty much how it is. And I think, obviously, going by Nathan's results on last weekend, he's obviously learnt to drive that car a bit more like he used to drive the 32.
Yeah, he from what I saw, he drove hard and, you know, got lucky in a few circumstances because I think he ran wide a couple of times, really pushing into the first corner, and other guys made mistakes around him. But again, back to the point we keep making is, like, you're there for your own gain, not for, you know, some fantasy gain like people think it is. Like, you're gonna win the event and you know, again, rainbows shine out of your ass. Like, it really is. Like, at the end of it, you can be like, oh damn, it sucks. Like, well, you know, Chop is a great example of this sort of that sort of attitude. Is just drive it as hard as you can, and if it comes off, it comes off, and if it doesn't, you're like, shit, I gotta go try that again.
Yeah.
Rather than being at the end of it being like, I won, but I drove like half-assed. And I'm not saying I feel like Dale does that, because World Time Attack and stuff like that was a testament to how well he drives. But
exactly right.
I also think that, knowing Dale's car, that it's still a fairly heavy car, even though it's had some bar work and stuff done to it now. So it's probably not something you want to whip around too fast, because I think it is fairly heavy. But yeah, until somebody starts to push him, and I think Matt Harvey sort of did that when Matt wasn't breaking his own car at DCA events or making himself lose in finals and stuff like that. Matt was Matt was that guy for Dale at a national level, and I think it'll be interesting to see it this weekend. And I think, look, personally, I think the SA drivers are more consistent and consistently more aggressive than a lot of drivers around the country. So I think this weekend, being the second round of the Resurgence, will push Dale harder than he's been pushed before. I think we're even going over to Victoria. It's still that they've got a new style of judging, because they've got guys who have driven DCA and driven a little bit more aggressively, or judged DCA, one of them, and so Dale's used to that. Dale and Nathan are used to that style. And that's sort of the style that the SA drifting SA is using for their series, where the Vic guys are now having to get used to that push. So I think it did fall into the favour of those guys. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this weekend goes for those guys, because I think it will be a really aggressive weekend. So, well, hopefully, if the judging's good.
Yeah, I mean, like, Dale already knows what my bank account details are, apparently. So he's winning. He's winning anyway. But no, like I said, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's drifting. It's anyone's game. Anything can happen. Like you said, some people get lucky sometimes by other people having a shit day. Like, it's one of those. That's what I love about it. It's one of those things that you just don't know what's going to happen, and it's the competition side of it. That's what makes it so much more interesting.
Can't, easy. I'm replying to comments, mate. This is where you're supposed to pick up on.
I know. I don't have anything, actually. I'm sorry.
So boring, mate. So has there been any format changes, or the judging in it, like the actual competition format is all exactly the same as round one ran with the two the two classes, the points split across the qualifying and
Yep,
the team competition and the tandem competition?
yep. So it's all the same criteria, all the same setup, level one, level two. I mean, some people still don't get Stewie's set up with the points and that, with the team drift and that, which I understand. Some people are like, oh, why is it, why does the team drift fucking add to your championship results and this and that? And I mean, I didn't realise it literally till that day that Stewie had to explain it to me sort of once or twice how it all works, and it makes it a shitload more interesting because it it makes people drive together. Like there's a team in now in SA, I can't remember their names. It's called like the Yacht Club or something, and they've got like a 34, a Supra, and Sora, I think. But they
Hence
all like
hence
painted
the
them the
yacht
same.
club.
All that. Yeah, legit. Like it's called the Yacht Club. I can't remember the boys' names, but they've all painted their cars the same. Put it, made them look somewhat professional. Like I have no idea if they've actually entered next weekend, but the whole team drift thing, like it's literally like people are actually, oh, cool, let's actually make a team. And the Boogie Nights boys, their cars haven't been painted the same or anything yet, but they've made their little team. And there's a few like the old school, like Lyndon and Tom and all that, have made their, the old fucking veterans team or whatever, And because they've all done it and gone like, oh shit, all right, we actually need to do this because this actually counts for our points. You could come like what happened at round one. Whoever come, I think it was a third or something, ended up actually leading the championship because of their team drift points. So the way it all works is super confusing. You got to read it once or twice to actually get it, but it does work. Like it is, it just changes up. The same old shit gets boring all the time, but unfortunately, some people are scared of change, and they're the ones that are whinging like, oh,
But
that doesn't make sense, or that sucks, or But it's like, man, just take the change, embrace it, and move on. Like,
but
it's either going to work or it's not. Like, we'll give it a go.
and the reality is with that sort of thing is, unless you think you can go and sell it to some sponsor, which probably for a small South Australian series you might get somebody to help cover your entry or do some spanner checks on your car or whatever. The difference between coming fifth in a championship and coming 15th because of a team drift event really doesn't probably isn't going to mean all that much.
No,
All it's going to matter to you is like how it personally affects you. But if you know that I drove really, really awesome in the thing and I finished, you know, top 8 every single time, but I've ended up a little bit further down because, you know, I wasn't sociable enough to get myself into a decent team. Well, that's something you potentially have to look at for next year. Why am I in this position? Or the format might completely change next year once there's numbers in there. Like I think people also have to understand that with it being in that rebuilding time, that you guys are just trying to get drivers to show up and drive as much as possible and encourage that community vibe, and that's the reason for it.
exactly right. Like when we used to try and do team drift at G1 or whatever it was literally like you'd be lucky if like a couple dudes went out in pairs. Like one year it was like me and Scott Miller went out as our team drift was me and Scott Miller. Like it was just a tandem. That was it. There was no, whereas at this time I think it's minimum 3 cars or whatever. 3 to 5 cars or something. So actually, and having the points add up to your total score or whatever gives people a reason to actually go, all right, cool, let's actually try and do it. And the guys that did it at round one at Taylor Bend, we ended up having 2 teams that were literally going battle after battle after battle because we couldn't split them. Like they were all for 2 4-car teams. They were going nuts, and a couple of dudes had never even driven together, and it just brought everyone together, and it gives everyone a chance to get more track time. There's really, I don't know how people can complain about it.
Yeah, drifters.
Drifters, yeah, and complain about fucking anything.
Remember, you've been there and done that too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think people end up coming full circle as soon as you sort of embrace it, eventually sort of let it go full circle, and everybody comes out at the other side of it for the better.
Yeah.
I think back to you being worried about numbers. Hopefully the numbers for this weekend are strong, but it sort of felt like lately I've seen more drift events in SA other than Archie having its weekly stuff, or even over the downtime over Christmas, they had a couple of months off. But I feel like SA has had more drift events than anywhere else in the country, and that's probably been also hurt numbers a little bit because it has become a bit of a flooded market, even though the market is being flooded by its own, like by itself, because it's
by itself. Yeah, yeah,
because it's its own thing. Not you guys,
yeah,
not drifting SA specifically, but the drifting SA is sort of, I wouldn't even say the governing body. You guys help run the events and make the events happen, but it's still all taken control of by track management. So,
yeah,
and they've sort of flooded the market a little bit of late. So hopefully that hasn't hurt the numbers too much, and people have sort of burnt their pocket out too quickly over the New Year period, and people can
yeah,
get amped for this one. I also thought the fact that High Tech Round 1 being on might hurt some of the numbers, but it doesn't seem like many or if any of those guys are making the SA guys are making the trip over to Vic this weekend anyway. So hopefully that means they're all bums in seats at Malala.
I hope so. I think the boys that would do high tech, like that level of drivers, I'm pretty sure pretty much all of them are more would more want to support the SA series anyway.
Yeah.
Like nothing against high tech, but for our fresh sort of competition and that, I'm pretty sure all of them would rather support SA than go to Victoria or whatever.
Yeah.
It does suck that it's obviously the same weekend, but
yeah, and the two sort of the two closest destinations to each other. Yeah, and I think just those guys who sort of got themselves the top of round 1, I think a lot of them are determined to be, Aussies love being the first. So the first person who can be like, I won the first series of the Resurgence. I think that's where most of those guys' heads are at with that.
yeah.
So plus it's close to family, it's close to home, all that sort of stuff. So
No, hopefully it's a good turnout. Like I said, I don't know something yet, so.
So before we go start wrapping it up, I saw that you've bought what have you got, like almost as many cars as EG's got in your yard now, except they're all VE Utes. What is going on, man?
Yeah, no, just you run into these things sometimes and get deals and that, but no, a lot. I mean, a lot of people that know me obviously know that I've probably had 300 cars since I've been 18. Just always buying and selling. It's only since I've had the job that I do now that I'm away all the time. I don't get a chance. Well, I don't buy and sell anything as much as I do, but probably because I was home for a few weeks, I bought a few cars. So the missus says, "When are you going away again?" I said, "Oh yeah, probably stop spending money on cars."
So
But
what's
that's not that bad.
yeah? So what's the plan? So my understanding is you got 3 of them. You got a black one as a daily, or you got one as a daily.
Yep.
You've got the
Yep.
white car, which is the competition car, and I thought that car was going to get caged, but if my stalking lends me to seem correct, the blue car is going to become the caged car.
Yeah. So the blue one's going to get sent off to get a cage done week after next, and then that's getting all the turbo LS running gear that was going in the Lexus is all going in the blue Ute. And then I'm going to try to keep the white Ute running for now and just have that. That's just like my party car. That thing's been super reliable. I mean, I've done like Cash Kings in it, and then like a few practice and that at Malala, a few like drift demos and stuff in it, and it's been super reliable. So if I just keep that thing running until it pretty much dies, then I'll just leave it like that. And then the blue Ute will be the fresh car.
Yeah,
Doing it for high tech.
You can't get rid of the white car. You beat Kangushi up in that car.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's got history.
It's worth way more money now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I tandem with Adam LZ, even though I didn't get that on video.
Well, yeah. So there's all that going for it. Now, if he had touched, did he actually rub his hand on it? If he rubbed his hand on it, it might be worth more money. Just claim that he did.
Should have got him to sit in the seat.
So, and then so the plan with that is just the blue car is probably run DCA, or just to have a big car, and then whatever car's running, you'll probably look at doing things like DCA and all that sort of stuff.
So eventually, like, because pretty much everywhere you bloody go now, you need to have a cage. So I want to do like a few Vic drifts and stuff like that. And then obviously, whenever Luke and that release what DCA is going to be doing, like the Cash Kings or whatever, like I'll hopefully have that running for those sorts of events. And then the white Ute is just going to be the party car, pretty much.
Yeah, and I guess now that they're actually started enforcing the cage rules in SA,
Yeah.
it makes it a little bit more sucky because you can't just take it out there and be like, take the family and go for runs. But I guess once the other car's sorted, as long as you still got a running car, you can always go and get a nice little half cage or something done for it, just so it's super basic and just there and ready to go. So there's
That's
probably
the plan.
What's
That's the plan.
what's the cage rule in SA? I haven't heard about it.
For like, I mean, obviously even for competition now and for Matsuri, because it's run under the AASA or whatever it's called, you have to have minimum, same, I think it's same as Vic Drift, you have to have minimum half cage and either side bars or factory side intrusions to tandem and take passengers.
you clearly
So the
don't
only
listen,
thing
you clearly don't listen to our episodes, mate. Because when we spoke to Michael, he told us that rule's supposed to have been in for like 3 years. They just never enforced it at the track, and now everyone's like, fuck, you're not letting us drive.
Yeah, but it's weird because cams is obviously normally the more strict licensee or whatever. But I can do a normal drift pack with no cage. I can't take passengers, but I can tandem. So I don't know. I don't really like read regs or anything. I pretty much ask my brother like for regs and shit. I'm like, Ben, what do I need to do this event? And he'll tell me. So I don't really know. It's only I didn't enter Matsuri because they're like, oh, if you don't have a cage, you can't tandem. I knew I couldn't take passengers, but I'm like, well, fuck, I'm not even gonna bother doing a whole day of drifting if I can't tandem.
Yeah.
And so that's doesn't matter if it's a cam spec. It could be a jump cage. It's fine. I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Fuck it. I mean, you probably have PVC pipe and the scrutiny isn't matter. I'll fucking pass it. But like Ben and all the boys, they all went and got those. I think it's AGI half cages from Sydney. And that dude makes cages for fucking a Mini Morris, but he doesn't make it for a VEU yet. So I couldn't get one.
Yeah, I think basically with those guys, like they're a big manufacturer, and if you want something done and you're one of the first, basically you need to leave a car with them to get it jigged up on, and then after they've done their first jig, then they can pump them out like it's going out of fashion, and I think they can, like their turnover rate is extremely fast. But
that's what the dude said to me. He just hasn't had a jig yet, and he goes, "Oh, like what car you got?" And I said, "Like, yeah, VEU." Oh, and he goes, "Oh, if I jig it off that, I'll do you a deal." And I'm like, "Dude, I live in Adelaide. Like, it's way too hard to, the logistics to get the car over there just to get a fucking cage made up. Even if I got it for free, it still wouldn't be worth it."
Yeah, you need to find a really shitty Amiga or something over here, and just be like, "Here you go. I bought you a car." And
I honestly don't know why he hadn't done it yet. Like, there's quite a few people that actually drift VEUs, and he does them for a sedan. But like there's like 5 dudes just in Victoria that drift VEUs.
But it's not only drifting, but guys are like just taking them out circuit racing and stuff like that because they're tail happy and fun to drive.
Does Ferds have a VEU? I can't remember what model
he's got a VY. He's got a VY or something.
VY. Okay.
Fernando.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got a VY because I was talking to him the other day because he was asking me about like the difference between my VY and my VE, and I said I had a big conversation with him how the VE's 10 times better. But yeah, he's got a VY or a VZ.
Yeah, VY.
Why is it
do some weird shit?
10 times better?
Just the suspension setup and that in the VE from factory is. I don't know the fucking geometry.
Yeah, the specifics. Okay.
Did you watch?
Because I didn't think they were that. I didn't think it was that dissimilar between.
Like it's not like it's still a very similar, but the VE compared to the VY, like the VY, like the rear cradle and that in them is you get a lot of camber. Like with the squat, you get a lot of camber and toe, whereas with the VE cradle, the way it's set up, I don't know what it's called, but the way when it squats, it doesn't toe in or anything. Like it's heaps better.
Okay.
Do you remember the flaming Ute, the VZ one that was doing super drift when it would come up the front straight and the wheel would run over the rumble strip? the super aggressive rumble strip on figure 8, and the way the wheel moved inside the arch. Like normally you're sort of used to seeing cars where it just sort of moves up and down or gain a little bit of toe. This thing was like doing like full rotations with inside the actual wheel arch, and sort of every time it would bounce it would make a huge movement, and I think that's the sort of thing that you're talking about. It just it does all sorts of whack stuff under compression.
My VE still does do that a bit. Like, I don't really notice it, but a few people have said to me, "Oh, your fucking wheel's loose." I'm like, "Nah, dude. Like, one, it's because my wheels are fucking chewed up because I drive in everyone, and two, it's just like I don't remember what it's called. Like, it's like something to do with the trailing arm or some shit. But yeah, it's not like perfect. Like, it's not an ideal setup, but from factory, it is a lot better than the VY.
Yeah.
Like, even like my Ute's just lower than that. Stock lock, I think. Well, like my Ute now has like the racks at the front of in front of the cross member and stuff as well, whereas VY they're behind. So even that, just the things doesn't have crazy lock or anything, but it's just from factory, it's a shitload better than a VY.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what have you got, Greg? What's your Commodore?
Mine's a VE. Well, I'm trying to sell it, but I'm being lazy. But yeah, it's a VE.
Okay. So that would have been good for drifting then.
Fuck off, mate. I'm not taking that out to do skids. And honestly, I feel like the Pathfinder would probably do a better skid than the Commodore, because the 3-liter Commodore is a nugget, and I can get the Pathfinder to chirp over speed humps and stuff like that because of just how punchy it is down low. So yeah. Now I understand why Luke can drift his BT50. So
yeah, but I think you'd put Luke in anything and he'll friggin' drift. He's just one of those dudes.
Yeah, but the car can't be too lazy to be able to do what he does. Like automatic and turbo diesel needs to be, be able to push those big tires. So yeah, Luke will drift anything, but the car's still got to be capable.
Yeah.
You're just reading Logan's comment.
No,
I don't know what he means by active caster.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably some fancy rally shit.
Yeah.
What else do you want to cover, EG?
Me? Not too much. I thought wasn't much about how Jackson got started in it. Like beforehand, if there was anything else that he was doing before drifting. Because I did hear that you had a property and I guess you're bashing around the paddocks, but did you actually do anything else beforehand before you actually got into drifting? Like actually competitive?
No, so like when you're a kid, you're either into BMX or skateboarding or something. Me and my brother were both into like racing BMX.
Yep.
But Ben was the one that won everything, and I was the little kid that rode around and then turned around and helped the kid that fell off his bike. So I was never like competitive at all. Ben did like state BMX and stuff like that. But yeah, when we were growing up, we just like our parents had a bit of property like out in the country in Adelaide or whatever. We had like a few paddock bashes and stuff when we were like sort of 12 years old or something. And when we learned to drive, and then Ben got his license and I got my license a few years later, and we just bash around, like there's all dirt roads and stuff out there, so we just bash around out there. And it wasn't until the day I turned 18, I went and bought a R33 like turbo Skyline, and I'd been out to Malala once before that, and it was like, I think it was a DA or something like that, so it would have been early 2008, late 2007. And I went out and there was some event, I can't remember what event it was. There was something at Malala, and I was like, man, this is cool, like, and it was only because a mate had an R31 Skyline, which I ended up owning a year or two later. But I bought this 33, took it out to like, oh, there's a drift practice on. All right, cool. We'll go, instead of doing it on the street, we'll take it to the track. So I took it to the track, and I was that keen to get out on the track that I left the jack in the boot, and that went from side to side. I'm like, oh, what's that noise? And it was the jack smashing into the fucking quarter panels of a Mint Series 233. So that went downhill real quick, and I'm like, man, I need a track car. So I bought a RB20 R31 that was like fully caged, had like 18x10 work wheels on it. Pretty nuts little setup. And I think I street drove that more than I tracked it, but the thing was not a street car at all. And then had a few incidents while inspecting lampposts. And my now wife sort of, we had a bit of a scare. We went off a cliff once. So she goes pretty much like, stop driving on the street. And then, then we had our son. So that sort of put a halt to anything, doing car events or anything for a little while. And then since then, I've probably had 30 drift cars from like Laurel to R33s. But what really got me into it, I think,
brother from another mother.
That's pretty much 100% more than I have. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like I've had 5 Laurels. And I don't even know how many R33s, and I've always had bigger cars. I've never really, actually owned an SR for about 8 minutes, and it fucking blew up.
It blew up. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Did it blow up? Because that's what SR seem to do all the time.
Yeah, shit. So, but no, like what actually got me into it. Like we used to have Port Gawler back in the day, which was like a Friday night, sort of.
Holy moly! I don't think many people now would know about Gawler. Yeah.
So I only really went to 1 or 2 like little events out there, and I didn't really know what drifting was, and I'd heard of like Tom Monkhouse and people like that, but until actually like watching what people can do in cars, it wasn't until what's it called? There was a DVD that came out in like would have been like 08 or 09 and it had all like Luke. It was Andrew Hawkins DVD.
Yeah, the Drifters Unleashed one. The last.
That's the one. Yeah.
The last thing sort of run at Oran Park.
Yeah. So that video come out, that DVD come out or whatever, and that was when I was like, oh fuck, this is sick, like, and just started driving, pretty much metal. That's all we had. Did that for a few years and probably 15 or 20 different fucking drift cars, and then had probably 4 years off of driving. And then started to get back in, like helping at G1 and stuff like that. And then, pretty much got the Black Ute in 2014 or whatever it was. And then, since then, I think that's what everyone knows me like, because obviously my last name used to be Callow, which fucking people still ask me about. So I can explain it to your listeners. I was born a Snell. My parents split up, and my mum remarried when I was 9 years old, and changed my last name to my stepdad's last name. So for many, many years, I was known as Callow, and people still call me Callow. And then my grandpa passed away, and my nan said that it's going to suck because like my son and that was Callow, and she got really upset that his last name isn't going to get carried on. So my dad goes, "Can we change your name back?" sort of thing. And I don't really see my stepdad or anything anymore. So I thought, fuck it, like Snell was technically my last name, so I changed it back to Snell, and now everyone's like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, because for pretty much from since I was like 9 years old up until maybe 2 years ago, I was known as Callow, like Jack Callow, obviously. So which is killer because a lot of people don't know who I am or what I used to do. So it's like, it's like a second idea.
So he's given us a sob story and basically got arrested for some bad shit, and he's just changed his name to get out.
No, Ben nearly got arrested because our stepbrother was called Ben as well. So, and he was a wanted dude at the time, and my brother got talked to nicely by federal police because they pulled him over at Adelaide Airport for driving around about 30 times, waiting for his mate to get off the aeroplane. They pulled him over and then did a name check on him and go, pretty much guns fucking ready. What's your address again, buddy? And he explained it to him, and they're like, "Oh, so you're not Ben Callow that lives here?" And he's like, "Nah, that's my stepbrother." And they're like, "All right, cool, no worries." So
Jesus,
Ben was the one that nearly got fucking dicked for that one, but I got out of it.
Yeah, because it's only now that you say it that it wasn't until fairly recent that like the Tinter car, I was just like, I'm sure I remember it under a different name, but I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
with it that it's you because like that's the car you have on all your stuff, so it must be you. Um,
Yeah.
and then because you'd changed the name on certain stuff, you sort of just like, oh, I must be getting names wrong because during that sort of ADGP time when I was living overseas, so it's sort of a little bit of a blur to me. But makes
When I did all that GP stuff was obviously Callow, and that Black Ute, the Tinscar thing was my old man. That's his business. So yeah, he helped me out to do that season.
it's brings a little bit more clarity to drift past as opposed to just sort of
Yeah,
going through it and leaving that in the past. But if it was shitty times, then it would have been easy to ditch it. But considering it was okay times,
yeah, like there was nothing wrong with it. It was only just because it was done when I was young,
yeah.
and
No, I mean you drift
yeah.
past with the change of names.
Oh yeah.
See,
There's nothing.
see, I'd happily change my name now because no, I'm notorious for killing cars.
Yeah.
I don't think that will change anything. I think you'll still kill cars in the future.
Yeah, your name doesn't change what you do to vehicles.
Yeah, I know, but I can try and run away from it. Nah, let's be real. EG killed the last one.
I'm pretty sure I was already dead when I got in the car because it sounded weird.
Yeah,
I kept asking you, are you sure this sounds
yeah,
normal?
and then you tried
And
to
you're
do
like, yeah, it's normal.
and then you tried to do a brake job at the start line, and then it stopped revving. So
Whatever. It was already broken to begin with. I didn't get off the line.
yeah, but because you tried to do a brake job. Simple as that.
You should be able to do a brake job if it was working properly.
They don't do brake jobs because as soon as they get wheel speed and you press the brake, it kills the power. I told you that, mate. But I found out how to get rid of that. I just got to pull the wheel speed sensor out of the front wheel. No, I don't know. I've got to pull something out.
When it gets running.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Okay. No, that's all. I just more curious about your how you got into it, and because a lot of people sort of go one day, oh, I look drifting on YouTube, and I just want to get into it, and then by next year, I'm going to be pro and get sponsored and blah blah blah. But it doesn't. I'm not saying it can't happen, but a lot of cases people are driving a lot more beforehand, and then they've got some other experience, whether it might not be in cars, but it could be in something else, like you had BMX, where other people, they could be doing like ice skating, even.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
sort of thing.
No, I was never like I said, I'm not a tech savvy person or anything like that, so I was never like, oh, look it up on YouTube or anything like that. It was more like just the people I hung around with. Eventually, sort of, we were all into the street style thing, but it was all before the days of like taking a video and then putting it on Facebook to get likes or whatever. It was before the Facebook time or anything like that. So it was more like we were legit 5 or 6 dudes that would go out and have fun through the night and go home. There was no bullshit sort of thing. And then I guess I could sort of see myself as being lucky that I got out of it as such before social media, can fuck you over, for putting the wrong thing on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, and before the laws changed, that sort of stuff can actually get you in shit.
Oh, and that, yeah. Like, the amount of stuff I got away with was fucking unbelievable. Like, nowadays, like, you chirp your tyres off the lights and cops will do you for hooning.
Well, yeah, and 18 people have you on dash cam and surveillance camera and some traffic camera that's hanging off a traffic light at that intersection and, the satellite that's above you as well, so...
Yep. Yeah. It's just not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unless you like, that's the thing. Unless there's still those little groups that go out and pick the right time and place, but yeah, that's what it is. You have to pick the right time and place to do it. Otherwise, you pay the consequences.
Yeah. Anything else? What's your next planned drive event?
I don't even know. I mean, I'll drive it. Our thing next weekend. I'll stink like you didn't do a few laps, but I don't even know. I was going to go to Darwin in July, I think it is.
The Invitational.
The Invitational. Been meaning to do that for the last 7 years, but whatever.
You've
when it
never
comes up.
gone before? Have you
Nah.
ever gone?
No, I was meant to go the first year it all happened when I had my old Lorel, and then the year after that when I had whatever car I had, and then the year after that, and it's just never worked out either financially or with work or whatever. And then this year we were planning on going and, you know, with the kids and that, and take the missus and make it a family event. And then my wife looked up the flights and all that, and by the time we worked it out, it's like nearly $3,000 to fly there and back with the kids and that. And I'm like, oh, all right, we'll drive. And then, you know, it's 3,000 k's from Adelaide, so it's like, fuck, you know, there's 3 days with kids in the car each way, and it's like, this isn't going to work. And she said, I'm not doing it if I don't take her, since, you know, us boys got to do the Adam LZ event, you know, last week. So she goes, you're not doing another event like that if we're not coming. And I said, all right, fair enough. So I don't know. I want to focus on trying to get the Blue Ute done, and whatever sort of decent event comes up once that's done, I'll probably head to.
Yeah, and at least that everything's a little bit closer, or kind of closer.
Yeah, like, I mean, I drive to Darwin, no worries, but with the kids and the family and that, it's a bit hard, sort of thing. So we'll see what happens. It could still happen. That's July, so I think there's a few like this.
And one of them's not just a kid; it's a baby. So
yeah,
probably.
So yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, that's all right. You'll be around for a bit longer, seeing you're still a baby. You're still in your 20s.
Yeah,
Plenty of years ahead of you. Your brother's the one on the way out.
Days. Yeah, no, he's done. He's passed. He's ready for retirement. That guy.
So social media wise, you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah.
All under Instagram and Facebook. You've got your JDS MotorSport.
Yeah, got my fan page, and that's because I'm professional as fuck.
Yeah.
That's where, you can only follow that one if you you know, want to hit me up with some killer sponsorship opportunities. I'm taking anything. I mean, I'll take anything. No, I do actually have a few dudes that support me. Like, obviously, my family supports me a shit ton doing what I can do. Like, I mean, I work away, like, so I'm away, and then for them to, you know, allow me to go away and do events is awesome of them. But like, I have like Southern Performance Centre down at Lonsdale. They help out, and like Achilles Tires and stuff, they help out. So no, it's all good. It's all good. But yes, Instagram, Facebook. Follow me on YouTube. Get me to 1 million subscribers.
By your birthday.
By my birthday, yeah, that's August. So we can do it if everyone shares this video 17,000 times. Then you know, might be close to 100K.
And then.
So what was that channel again? Sorry, what was that channel again?
It's just on YouTube. It's just Jackson Snell.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on Instagram, you've got the 2 accounts. You've sort of got your personal one, but I think car stuff ends up on both. You've got your Jackson Snell.
Stuff somehow ends up on both. But yeah, I try to make a separate one to put the car stuff on, and that's only because I was gonna make the other one private, so it's just family stuff. But it's just too hard, like sit there and delete everyone off of it, like.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's just JDS Motorsport on Instagram.
Yeah. Jump on and follow that stuff, and then sort of see where he goes. Any crappy decisions from this weekend, look for the dude with the beard and spank him. The one with the glasses, the other one will be on the microphone probably talking shit, so if he's annoying too, you can just go spank him as well.
Yeah, don't spank us together, otherwise it's incest.
If people can tell you apart.
Yeah, no, he's the ranger.
Yeah, you're the better looking one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, sort of anything else you want to go over before we wrap this up after a couple of hours?
No, just thanks to you guys for having me on, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's good for everyone. Keeps everyone entertained.
Something like that. I know you're an avid listener early, I don't know how much of an avid listener you are still, but it sounds like you listen to a fair bit of stuff. So hopefully we're still on your playlist most weeks
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
when we don't
Like I
just
said, I have heaps of time to kill, so whatever fills the gaps, whether it's you guys, Joe Rogan, or I don't know, something else. But
um. So we have one viewer question. Connor wants to know, do you personally own the truck with the star on it, or is that that's
no,
part of a fleet, right?
yeah. So the company I work for, we're just like a small um, family company, and I was just lucky enough to come along at the right time and get offered a brand new truck at the time. But no, it's an awesome company to work for. Like my boss Sean that owns the company, he's only a young guy as well, but he's ex like motocross dude and can't sort of ride anymore because he just doesn't have the time. So with he helped me out for Cash Kings and stuff like that, and even in the LZ event, he paid for like the fuel for our tow vehicle to go up there and that. So like he helps out heaps as well. But yeah, no, they're all company trucks. Got about 10 prime movers and that, and like I said before, I pretty much look at my job as I get paid to see Australia, so can't complain too much.
Yeah, and then maybe one day you'll be the next GH.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was going to actually work for Graham a couple of years ago when he had a second truck, but a bit of shit went down with like in his life sort of thing, so that didn't end up happening. But yeah, no, Graham's freaking awesome. Like everyone knows, he does a lot for us. Well, especially us SA guys, and especially Dale. Like obviously, Dale wouldn't be where he is now without Graham. Like that's for sure.
Yeah. So maybe eventually we'll pay for in another state. We'll pay for you to move up to another state to be able to do your own GH style tow events for everybody. Because or else the bloody SA guys are going to show up with 14 cars to national events and just walk the park with
Oh yeah,
with everybody else. So we don't need much
I've,
more of that.
yeah. I've already offered the Graham if get a big event and that, then yeah, we'll hire a second truck and stuff and tow everyone up to wherever we got to go. But
Maybe I
just
need.
sucks that sometimes there's not enough people to go to an event, obviously.
Yeah,
But
shit.
yeah,
Maybe I need to step into commentary or do something else rather than drive, so I don't feel so shit about my driving. Now, if there's 14 SA cars showing up to DCA events and all sorts of wild stuff, so
it's all good, man. Every event needs some qualifiers 33rd.
yeah. Man, if I qualified that high, I'd be fucking happy. Unless there was only 33 cars.
But yeah, well,
Hey,
yeah,
I've always made it into the battles, all right. So,
that's all right then.
all right. Well, let's sign this one off for tonight. Yeah, good luck for the weekend with the judging. Hopefully, there's not too many upset people with the calls, and I'm sure at some stage we'll probably end up having you back on because you actually know what we do with this show, and you probably won't stand us up too much. And if you're bored in a truck, then you might be happy to chat to us. Yeah, so keep an eye on coverage for Drifting SA Round 2, Round 1 of High Tech this weekend, and Round 1 of Rally. So yeah, check all them out. Keep an eye. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. I'm not sure what our plan is for next week yet. We'll try and work something out, whether it's somebody from one of those.
I don't think we have anyone planned, but yeah, we'll see what we can find.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll either do something from one of those 3 events, or maybe even somebody from Vic Drift this weekend past. So yeah, thanks for listening if you made it this deep in, and we will catch you guys on the next episode. And thanks, Jackson, for coming on.
Yep. Thanks for coming on.
No worries. Hooroo.